Honorable members, I have a few announcements, starting with a not so pleasant one. First, I'd like to inform you that the father of our Minister of Agriculture, the late Awal Mustafa Rahman, passed away. Our Minister of Agriculture has been coming in and out of the house because he was attending to his late dad medical issues. The janazah for Muslims, which means the funeral prayers, most likely will be held on Sunday in Bloomfield, Berbice. We will inform honorable members about the arrangements. To the minister and his family, on your behalf and on behalf of my family and I have extended our sincerest condolences. The late Mr. Mustafa Rahman is not just the father of our late minister. He has spent some 70 years in community leadership, community organizing, and working especially for the people of Region 6. And we thank that family for his services also. An update on our late Member of Parliament who was injured yesterday. There are 2 fractures in the leg. The Honorable Member will be in cast for about 6 to 8 weeks. I want to express our appreciation to the MPs. Mr. Jordan, you're going to have to start respecting the chair. You're going to have to start doing it. No, let's start with this, please. No, please. She's injured due to no fault of hers. In spite of all the efforts we have made to ensure the safety of everyone who uses this chamber, there was an issue at the stairs. The cabling is put in a metal trunking that doesn't have any flexibility, and her heels hit that part. Unfortunately, she's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. I say thanks to the members, staff, and the emergency medical team that is on site who rendered immediate assistance. The staff at the Convention Center and Parliament is working to address issues of the feed, the video and the audio feeds coming out of the Convention Center. But we're suffering from Murphy's Law. We've done this for 5 years, and whatever can go wrong, he says will go wrong, and we've been experiencing a bit of that. Unfortunately, the equipment doesn't give you warning when it's going to go down. We have replacement devices for many of the ones we know could go wrong. So we are working diligently to do that. We have already had the occupation safety and health people in here, and they have suggested, recommended some changes, because fundamentally we are blocking entrances. And so the cameras will be repositioned Monday so that they are not going to take up space on the stairs. And there are some other issues that we will address as a matter of urgency. Honorable members, especially for the new members, and we also owe you a duty to help inform you about our standing orders, our rules in the House. Today, we have to make some amendments to our standing orders. Not sorry, our order paper, and that is in the form of suspending some standing orders. And these are to allow for not only the debate and the consideration of the estimates, but for passing the necessary legislation to ensure that those budget measures which are in the budget, that those are fully legal. And all that happens during this process. Minister of Finance will be moving those. And I want to say to the new members also, the Parliament organizes educational sessions on parliamentary procedures after every new parliament. And this is not done by the clerk and the speaker. We could assist. But the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, we invite them to come and do those sessions. So while it's nice to see the speaker traveling business and going to all these conferences and so, there are many other benefits. We network, we get the brightest, the most experienced MPs to come. And they don't only do it for Guyana. So that is under consideration. Along with that, for the new members, there is the Caribbean and Atlantic branch of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. And Guyana provides the secretariat services for the regional branch. And our clerks for the entire Caribbean, that branch. So you are going to get that session organized. We are looking at scheduling right now. We have two considerations. The amount of festivals coming up on holidays, along with Ramadan in 2 weeks' time, and the availability of the international resource persons who will come here for most likely a week. And for that, we also would invite other parliaments. Suriname wants to integrate a bit more. So a lot happens. For the public, Parliament is not these sittings alone. It's much more. And so we want to ensure we provide all the training, the exposure to the representatives of the people so they can maximize with efficiency the service that we provide for those who elected us, and more particularly for the entire nation. Mr. Clerk?
Presentation of petitions and reports.
So we have
Next
to
session.
suspend the standing order too.
Just now you suspend.
Go ahead. Honorable Minister Teixeira.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to move the following motion for the suspension of the standing orders. Be it resolved that standing order number 13, subclause 1, be suspended to enable the National Assembly to proceed with the following regulations and bills at its third sitting. 1, the excise tax amendment of Schedule Regulations 2026, number 3 of 2026, to be laid in the National Assembly. 2, the Fiscal Enactments Amendment Bill 2026, Bill number 3 of 2026, and 3, the Marriage Amendment Bill 2026, Bill number 4, 2026, to be introduced and read for the first time in the Assembly. These are all tax measures that have been reported in the budget document, and this is to allow us to pass this debate and pass these bills on next Friday. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Teixeira. The motion is proposed. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The motion is carried. Honorable Senior Minister in the Office of the President. Am I ahead of you, Mr. Clerk? The Honorable Ashley Singh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I'm on my feet, allow me to join you in expressing condolences to my colleague, the Minister of Agriculture, on the sad passing of his father, who, as you indicated, was not only the father of our current Minister of Agriculture, but was himself a long-standing servant of the people, a long-standing and dedicated and distinguished servant of the people of Region 6 and of the People's Progressive Party. So my condolences to Minister Mustafa and his entire family. And permit me too, sir, to join you in expressing best wishes for a full and speedy recovery to the Honorable Member, Ms. Coretta MacDonald, who suffered that very unfortunate mishap yesterday. Sir, the privilege is mine now, on behalf of this People's Progressive Party civic government, to table the following paper and/or report, specifically the excise tax amendment of Schedule Regulations 2026, regulations number 3 of 2026. I assume, sir, that I will be called on separately to table the Fiscal Enactments Act at the appropriate time. Thank you very much, sir.
And you move that it be read the first time.
And I
Sorry.
move, sorry. So I'm just tabling the regulations at this time. I believe, sir, that you might be calling me in a minute or two under the next item to table the bill and to move that it be read the first time. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Again, the Honorable Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance. Sorry.
Introduction of bills.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I recognize that we are in slightly novel territory. The privilege is now mine, sir, to present to this Honorable House the following bill, the Fiscal Enactments Amendment Bill 2026, Bill number 3 of 2026, a bill intituled an act to amend the Income Tax Act, the Corporation Tax Act, the Value-Added Tax Act, the Property Tax Act, and the Customs Act. And I now move, sir, that the aforementioned bill be read the first time. Thank you very much.
Let the bill be read the first time.
Fiscal Enactments Amendment Bill 2026, Bill number 3 of 2026.
Honorable Minister of Home Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg the House to present before this House the Marriage Amendment Bill 2026, Bill number 4 of 2026. And I move that it be read the first time.
Thank you very much, Minister. Let the bill be read the first time.
Marriage Amendment Bill 2026, Bill number 4 of 2026.
And again, for the newer members, if we do not do this procedure, we would violate the standing order, which says that we have to give 6 days clear notice before we could debate the bill. So if we do it today, we can do it, consider this on Friday next week. We good? So thank you very much. We can now move to the resumption of the debate. And today's first speaker is Mr. Shana Femi Curlett, our Shadow Minister for Home Affairs.
up. I begin this afternoon by giving thanks to the Almighty for strength, clarity, and guidance. I also want to give sincere gratitude to the people of this nation who supported our movement. With that being said, I want to give or extend a warm congratulations to the newly elected leader of the opposition, Honorable Azruddin Mohammed. Mr. Speaker, when the Honorable Member Yuj Todd used the word democracy to describe his government in what I can only call a meaningless presentation that lacked substance and direction, Mr. Speaker, I was flabbergasted because the people of this nation is still waiting to hear a clear foreign affairs policy from that side of the House. So, Mr. Speaker, I asked, where was the democracy when it took 2 months and 23 days to convene a meeting so that the non-governmental MPs can elect an opposition leader? Where was the democracy when the committees of this House were paralyzed? Where was the democracy?
I just want to caution you. I don't like to interrupt at the beginning of a first-timer speech, but I want to know which article of the Constitution the Speaker violated in the election of the leader of the opposition, and which democratic principle I violated. I want to know.
I am moving. Where was the democracy when the president appointed 7 members
And there
of the
is,
Teaching Service Commission?
and there is a standing order about criticizing the president in this assembly. You could bring it
But
in the form of a
unconsulted,
motion.
The leader,
You can bring it in the form of a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw. Mr. Speaker, it is very clear that the Honorable Member, Todd, and I, and the rest of the world have 2 different definitions of democracy.
Okay,
Mr. Speaker.
your time is running. I just want to know what is your definition and how our Constitution collides with your definition, since you go down there.
Mr. Speaker, I beg you to continue my debate. Mr. Speaker, the
No, but you,
Honorable Member-
I demand the same respect from all sides of the House. So I just want to know
Mr. Speaker,
your and the international definition I violated.
Mr. Speaker, I'm coming to the definition. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member Mandalal came to this House bragging and boasting about his trip to Ketu. Mr. Speaker, I'm quite certain that that member did not spend the night in that village. Because, Mr. Speaker, if he did, he would have known that the only light that village received at night is the moonlight, Mr. Speaker. And they're going to want to say that I'm bringing false information to this House. Because the Honorable Prime Minister had commissioned a 0.15 hydropower plant in that village. But Mr. Speaker, the residents of that village, they're saying that the plant only works during the commissioning ceremony, after which it is not functioning. What is even more troubling, Mr. Speaker, is that the residents are saying when they go to the police station to make a report, the police officers have to use their flashlights to take the report. because of the darkness. Mr. Speaker, and if you think that I'm exaggerating, here are pictures of that village in the night. I am not sure if the members on the other side can actually see the photograph due to the darkness. Mr. Speaker, when the Honorable Member, Pauline, talked about all the amenities and how that if you don't walk the ground and you don't be in the communities, you will not know. Mr. Speaker, I totally agree with her, 100%. She even talked about all of the roads that are linking communities. But Mr. Speaker, I want to ask her, what happened to the road that links Chinapau to Parmakatoy? She talked about the residents can use their ATV on the road now. Mr. Speaker, the residents are not riding their ATVs on the road. They are pushing it, Mr. Speaker, and here's an example. Because of the slushy loom on that road. And I know if that member was on that road, she wouldn't have been able to be sitting in this house today because they still would have been digging her out. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, this House is asked to applaud bigger figures and nod along every year as though money by itself is a proof of progress. But outside these walls, the Guyanese people are not living in spreadsheets. They're living in fear, frustration, and the growing sense that priorities are drifting, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Home Affairs is charged with the most basic duty of any state, to keep people safe. And yet, Mr. Speaker, the same way that this ministry's budget went up is the same way domestic violence went up. Mr. Speaker, if you think that I am exaggerating, let's look at the numbers. In 2025, Mr. Speaker, this ministry was allocated just over $37 billion. In 2026, they budgeted for more than $42 billion. Mr. Speaker, that's an increase of nearly $5 billion in 1 year. Mr. Speaker, domestic violence reports are running into the thousands. The most serious indicator, domestic violence related to murders, doubled from 13 to 26, Mr. Speaker. So you see, everything is going up. Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. This ministry is not underfunded. The issue before this House is not money. The issue is direction, priorities, and the judgment of the person responsible for spending the money. Mr. Speaker, and this is where this ministry is beginning to look less like a pillar of security and more like a broken compass spinning without control. Mr. Speaker, I want to be fair. The Honorable Minister did act swiftly on one issue when she assumed office. We all remember it. The country remember it. Vehicle tint. And let me say this clearly before anyone pretends otherwise. Enforcing the law is not wrong. Road safety matters. Order matters. But, Mr. Speaker, priority matters more. In 2025, the Guyana Police Force reported 124 fatal road accidents, resulting in 137 deaths. This was an increase compared to 2024, which was 117 fatal road accidents, which result in 132 deaths. Mr. Speaker, traffic enforcement data from January the 4th to January the 10th, 2026 shows clearly 3,107 persons had had committed traffic breaches in just a single week. Mr. Speaker, I'm only going to look at a serious one. 964 cases of speeding, 37 drivers charged for driving under the influence, including some testing well above the legal alcohol limit, 49 unlicensed driver, 59 unfit vehicles for the road, 151 vehicles left in dangerous position. Mr. Speaker, and I can go on. But let me just give you an example. Just recently, a fatal multi-vehicle collision occurred on the New River Bridge connecting two regions. The driver involved was charged with driving without a valid driver's license. Mr. Speaker, and other traffic offenses. One life was lost and several were injured. Mr. Speaker, this incident highlights ongoing challenges in the road safety and traffic enforcement that must be addressed alongside crime and domestic violence. Mr. Speaker, but instead, the Honorable Minister of Tint behavior can compare to a plastic bag blowing in the air without no sense of direction. Mr. Speaker, the minister has explained that the old tint rules were inconsistent and needed reform to bring clarity and fairness to the motorists. But while clarity on tint is one thing, the real question is whether the ministry's focus and resources were directed towards the most urgent safety threats facing Guyanese families, like serious crime, of which murders has increased from 117 in 2024 to 130 in 2025. Mr. Speaker, while enforcement energy was being poured into tint, families across Guyana were asking and saying, why does the police arrive after an incident happened when you call them? Mr. Speaker, this side of the House is not satisfied with the growth in figures alone. We demand growth in outcome. We demand clarity of purpose. We demand that safety policy reflects the reality of people, not optics from ministers. Mr. Speaker, when we examine the budget, we see no proportional urgency. We see billions allocated, but very little clarity on early intervention programs, victim protection mechanisms, counseling support linked directly to law enforcement, or measurable outcomes for prevention, not just reaction. Mr. Speaker, a police response after violence occurs is necessary, but prevention before violence occurs is leadership. Mr. Speaker, leadership is exactly what this ministry is struggling to demonstrate. Mr. Speaker, there are numerous allegations against senior officers engaging in sexual misconduct with junior ranks. When such behavior comes from someone you work with, the pain cuts deeper. Mr. Speaker, and I speak from first-hand experience, because I was verbally threatened with sexual assault by the Honorable Kwame, who said to me, and I quoted, "I will do to you what I do to little boys." Mr. Speaker, this behavior is distasteful, and it's abuse
Mr.
of
Speaker.
power.
Honorable Member, Mr. McCoy. 40.
I,
Standing
for
order. 40.
Standing Order 40, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, please.
I am standing on Standing Orders 40A.
Yes.
The honorable member just made a statement that accuses me of a remark to her of which I have never committed, I've never said, and I would like her to provide the proof of that today. Now, here and now.
Mr. Speaker, I have witness of it. Mr. Speaker, look.
Honorable member, this is the second time during these debates which we have this situation. And unless, as I said earlier, I am not competent to judge hearsay. So if we can get the evidence on both sides, we will.
Mr. Speaker, I have witness.
Yeah.
There were persons around
So-
when he said it.
Let's produce those. The
Would
minister
you
say
like
he
to
didn't.
show?
Ministers,
Oh.
not you producers to me. Continue with your presentation.
Okay.
I did stop the clock.
Okay, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this behavior was distasteful and it's abuse of power and a gross violation of respect for women. Yet, this is a man who sits as a minister in a government that claims to put people first. Mr. Speaker, there are also serious culprit allegations against individuals entrusted with enforcing the law. Yet, Mr. Speaker, every time these matters surfaced, the response is the same. We are told they'll be investigated. Mr. Speaker, those investigations lead nowhere. File goes silent, victims are left exposed, careers are protected, while justice is postponed. Mr. Speaker, the tragedy of the Adriana Young exposed a dangerous gap in our system. At the time of her disappearance, in April 2025, this country had no national child emergency alert system. After her death, the opposition moved for the establishment of an Adriana Young alert system. Yet, that motion was blocked from debate. Instead of legislation, instead of a national
Honorable
public
member,
alert mechanism,
you're going down some dangerous road, you know. Very. Who was the speaker?
Mr. Speaker, I
blocked-
withdraw it.
And there is a standing order that deals with the content of questions and motions. And every question and motion has to be read against the standing orders. The standing orders are our rules, the parliamentary rules. And I said at the beginning of the debate
Wasn't this thing banned from debate?
that the parliament is the supreme organ of the state. Supreme. So be careful
So guided.
how you're going down that road.
I'll be so guided, Mr.
And if
Speaker.
you ever have to bring a motion or a question, seek the advice of the clerk, who is one of the most experienced clerk in the Commonwealth.
So guided, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the public is asked to trust a system that repeatedly swallows allegations and produces nothing but silence. Due to this, public trust is left to collapse. Mr. Speaker, when we look at the estimate, we see buildings, furniture, equipment, vehicles, and land transport. These are not bad investments. We support investment that benefits the people. But, Mr. Speaker, we do not support infrastructure without strategy becomes decoration. Mr. Speaker, this budget claims to be about putting people first. But before we accept that, let us look carefully at what is truly being put first. What is truly being put first? What is truly being put first? Food prices up, transportation costs up, household expenses up, utility bills up, rent and housing costs up. Mr. Speaker, you know what went down? Real wages, meaning what salaries can actually buy, down. Disposable income, down. Household savings, down. Quality of life for frontline workers, down. financial security for their families, down. Mr. Speaker, can you imagine that these frontline workers are valued at only $1 million if they die in the line of duty? Mr. Speaker, this budget has no meaningful signal that the cost of living pressure faced by frontline workers are being treated as a national risk. Mr. Speaker, what we saw was the threshold moving from $130,000 to $140,000 at a 25% PAYE rate. Mr. Speaker, that is equal to $2,500 per month. Excuse me.
Take your time.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, that is equal to $2,500 per month, which is roughly about $83 per day. And they sit across the room shouting, putting people first. In a budget of over $1.558 trillion, this is not a broad tax relief. Mr. Speaker, this is a pay slip of a police corporal whose gross salary is $158,000 per month. After all the deductions and the credit union loan, Mr. Speaker, he's left with $91,487. Mr. Speaker, and this government preaches about having the fastest growing economy.
Honorable member, you'll have to lay that over. And just because whatever you're quoting from, you have to lay over,
The slip?
right? Yes.
Okay.
And I noticed you say less credit union loans, right? Included in that deduction.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Mr. Speaker, with that being said, you cannot stop bribery within an organization without first understanding and addressing its root cause. And when you analyze this ministry, the root cause becomes clear. The officers within these ministries are underpaid. They are struggling to survive. They are struggling to provide for their families. Mr. Speaker, do you know what it feels like to go home and see 4 eyes staring at you, hungry eyes, and you have nothing to give to them? Do you know what it feels like by the time your paycheck reaches your pocket, it disappears as though they are holding it? Mr. Speaker, this is the daily reality of these officers.
Just to the honorable member, I would like to go in the ring and discuss what I know about poverty.
Mr. Speaker, this is a reality that members, Mr. Speaker, this is a reality that members on that side of the House will never understand. Because they live in luxury, they live in comfort, they live off of large paychecks. And until this House is willing to confront that truth, until we address low wages and economic hardship, lecturing workers about questionable practices will solve nothing. Not even the $5 billion budgeted for body cameras will help. Mr. Speaker, you cannot demand discipline from officers who are struggling to survive. You cannot demand excellence from workers who feel invisible. And you cannot build public trust while neglecting those that are tasked with enforcing the law. Mr. Speaker, the prisoner-to-staff ratio is projected to improve slightly from 53:1 in 2025 to 50:1 in 2026. This is still a ratio that reflects strain, not comfort. Mr. Speaker, this side of the House is not arguing that nothing is being done. We're arguing that what is being done is not corresponding with the scale of the problem. Mr. Speaker, according to the estimate, the total allocation for the Guyana Fire Service is just over $5 billion. While this represents an increase of over the original amount for 2025, It does not represent a structural shift in how fire and emergency response is being strengthened across the country. Mr. Speaker, when we turn to the estimate, no major modernization program introduced. Mr. Speaker, there is no clearly identified new project aimed at reducing emergency response time, expanding coverage in growing communities, or modernizing fire and reducing capacity in line with increased urbanization and industrial activity. Mr. Speaker, this is particularly troubling in a context where communities are expanding rapidly. High-rise construction is increasing, and industrial and commercial fire risks are growing. Mr. Speaker, the fire service remains funded at a level that this side of the House is not suggesting, that firefighters are not working hard. On the contrary, they continue to perform under pressure, often with limited resources. But, Mr. Speaker, commitment cannot be substitute for capacity. Mr. Speaker, a modern state does not wait for disaster to expose gaps in emergency response. It plans ahead. It invests ahead. It builds resilience before disaster strikes. Mr. Speaker, the Custom Anti-Narcotics Unit occupies a uniquely sensitive position in our national security. It is an agency entrusted in intercepting illegal narcotics, seizing, safeguarding evidence, and supporting prosecutions against organized crime. Because of that role, Mr. Speaker, credibility, integrity, and control systems are everything. According to the estimate, the Canada receives an allocation of approximately, or will receive, $356 million. Mr. Speaker, capital expenditure is minimal. And when we examine estimates, there is no new project introduced in 2026 aimed at upgrading secure storage facilities, strengthening evidence management system, modernizing tracking or inventory control for seized narcotics, or introducing digital chain. Mr. Speaker, what we see instead are continued allocations, not reform. This is deeply troubling when placed against the public record of concerns surrounding missing or unaccounted for narcotics. Mr. Speaker, and this is where the three Ps finds itself along with the genie. What do I mean, Mr. Speaker? What do I mean, Mr. Speaker? They prevent the narcotics, procure it, pound it, and then the genie turns it into flour. Mr. Speaker, I am not making any allegations against any individual, but it's a matter of public knowledge. Widely reports Mr. Speaker, in any serious anti-narcotics agency, such concern should trigger independent audits, hardened storage facilities, tamper-proof inventory systems, and transparent reporting mechanism. Yet, Mr. Speaker, when we look, we see no timeline, Mr. Speaker, of the evidence management reform, or secure vault construction, or independent oversight mechanism. In other words, the risk factors are acknowledged in public disclosure, but they are not reflected in the budgetary response. Mr. Speaker, credibility in drug enforcement is not built on seizures alone, it is built on what happens after. From the moment narcotics are intercepted, the state must be able to account for every gram, every movement, and every handoff. If the chain breaks at any point, prosecutions collapse, public trust erodes, and questionable practices, Mr. Speaker, find place to grow. Yet, this budget does not show that Kanu is being equipped to close those gaps. Mr. Speaker, this side of the House is not questioning the dedication of officers. We are questioning whether the systems around them are strong enough to protect them, protect the evidence, and protect the interests. Mr. Speaker, as I close my presentation, I want to say this budget has everything. Plenty money, plenty promises, and the same old problem without any complete answers. And that reminds me of a culprit, undesirable, who fled the BVI before deportation. A failure dressed up as second chance. No matter how it's presented, the reality underneath remains the same. Mr. Speaker, the government proudly chants the slogan of putting people first, but they never told us which people. Because, Mr. Speaker, when this budget is examined line by line, page by page, the majority of Guyanese are being left behind. Let me say this clearly. A budget that leaves most people behind is not a national budget. It's a selective one. And this side of the House cannot and will not support a budget that looks good in headlines but fails the people in reality.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Ms. Femi Corlett. And now I invite the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs,
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Mr. Campbell.
Yes, thank you, sir. For a brief moment, I just wanted to rise above the partisanship and extend my condolences and the condolences of the entire team here to the Honorable Zulfikar Mustafa on the passing of his father. I did not know his father, but listening to you, sir, and listening to the Honorable Minister of Finance within the Office of the President, it seems as though he was a gentleman who gave greatly in terms of community service to this country. Guyana is poorer for his loss. I thank you for this moment, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. We will convey those to the Honorable Minister. And before Minister Onej Walwyn speaks, let us recognize the 10 members of Chase Academy who is sitting opposite where Minister Walwyn is standing up to the south. Thank you, Chase, and your teacher for visiting the National Assembly. Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, the Honorable Onej Walwyn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to add my voice to the support of Budget 2026 under the important theme of putting people first. Mr. Speaker, let me quickly deal with the contribution, if you will, of my shadow. Mr. Speaker, the figures for domestic violence were inaccurate. I don't know where those figures have come from. Mr. Speaker, we are in fact experiencing in 2025 a decrease in the reports of domestic violence and an increase in the proportion of convictions as it relates to the cases that have been reported. So in all around, we are actually seeing improvements in the domestic violence statistics. The report is available. Please, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the fire, prison, and the Guyana Police Force has seen historic levels of investment by this PPPC government from the year 2020 and 2025. And Mr. Speaker, and these investments will continue in 2026. But it's important to announce to this House and to my shadow, Mr. Speaker, that on every level, we are seeing return on the investment. Crime is down historically by 25.5, serious crime down by 25.5% from the end of 2025. Recidivism rate, where the young people from the Guyana Police Force is the lowest it is in the region at 14%. The rest of the Caribbean region is seeing a recidivism rate of 40 and 50%. And she walks out when they don't want. Mr. Speaker, it is so disheartening, Mr. Speaker, to see the level and to hear the level of misinformation and an incompetence coming from the other side of the House. And Mr. Speaker, added to which, there seems to be an unwillingness to discourse and to learn. So the idea is to come to this House, spew the rhetoric, send this misinformation and disinformation, and then run away when we're having a discourse. Mr. Speaker, this is a debate. This is not the running the campaign and running your mouth on social media.
Correct. It's not Facebook.
This is not a brawl. This is a debate. And so you should be willing to open to hearing that, there's another side to the story. But Mr. Speaker, that being said, very well, I'm guided. All right, Mr. Speaker, the honorable member has also raised the issue of. All right, Mr. Speaker, I will pivot a bit to speak to this. As we're speaking about competence and building up we are in the serious business of building this nation. And Mr. Speaker, we have the budget 2026. A lot of us indeed, even the experienced one, miss sometimes how the mammoth task it takes to craft a budget like this, especially in the context of a nation that is rapidly evolving and changing and developing. And as we're talking about shadows, I took a look around, Mr. Speaker, over this week at the members on the opposite side as we are looking at the shadows and I realized, Mr. Speaker, that the Honorable Ashni Kumar Singh has demonstrated, along with his staff, such an expertise, acumen, astuteness, where it comes over these past few years, where it comes to crafting and presenting to this assembly a budget that is fit for purpose, for a growing economy. And then I looked around and I thought, but who can shadow this venerable Ashni Kumar Singh? They were smart. They didn't bother. They didn't even bother. They threw up their hands. They didn't even bother. And I looked around and I was, I did and I hope my colleague will forgive me for this. I did a quick Google of Ashni Singh's and his qualifications. I know Ashni must forgive me for this. And Google does not do him justice in terms of the length and breadth and depth of his qualifications. And he's modest, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to make the point that competence matters. You cannot come to this House mouth off, bereft of ideas. Bereft of ideas. Some of them on the other side claim that they can shadow the Minister of Health and the Minister of Finance together with their 50 minutes that they have. Now, Mr. Speaker, I wish to congratulate the Honorable Dr. Ashley Singh and the staff of the Ministry of Finance in crafting this budget, as well as the staff from the ministries all across the public servants for the work that they have put into, months and months of work in crafting this budget. My shadow mentioned in her social media while she took took the opportunity to criticize the capital projects. Empty vessels make the most noise, children. The empty vessels, there they are. She mentioned, Mr. Speaker, that the capital projects at the Ministry of Home Affairs, one of the capital projects, that some of the money could have been used. The money that she claims that was wasted could have been used for other social programs. And I invite the Honorable Shadow to consider what $11 billion could have been used for. I invite her to consider, as she knows what she was quite poised to know what the monies that Ministry of Home Affairs, she claims, had not been have been put to waste. She said in her script that, do you know what the $74 million could do? It can pay help a child who can go to school. And I would invite her to consider that $11 billion, and I would help her out with this one. $11 billion could build about 4,000 core homes. $11 billion, Mr. Speaker, can pay 110,000 cash grants for of 100,000 each. $11 billion, Mr. Speaker, can pay 1,000 workers a minimum wage for 9 years. And I will invite the Honorable Shadow to go and consider what else $11 billion can do. And you know, Mr. Speaker, I often am baffled at the temerity of members of the opposition when they, especially on the win side, when they come around and act as crusaders of financial accountability. And they have all sorts of vile and vitriolic things to say about us on the government side. And Mr. Speaker, you yourself have been victim to these vile attacks, Mr. Speaker. And I'm wondering what gives them this moral authority to crusade around and say that they're the virtue and paragons. He said, I am here to call out all the wrongs. I am a crusade for the truth. What gives them that temerity, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, I hold before me, Mr. Speaker, an indictment, a grand jury.
Honorable members, Mr. Jordan, Mr. Campbell, please.
Mr. Speaker, There is, it's in the public domain, Mr. Speaker, that are the members on the other side, Mr. Speaker, that there is a public document, an indictment, Mr. Speaker, that is in the public domain. But, Mr. Speaker, I will not read this document, Mr. Speaker, because I know that the word corruption, which appears several times in this document, appears too many in almost every sentence. So I will not be able to read the document, Mr. Speaker. But I wonder, Mr. Speaker, with the names and the activities mentioned in this document, how can you stand and say the things that you say about people on the other side, or on the government side? And Mr. Speaker, in sitting on the bench, as a magistrate for 7 years, I started to develop a natural curiosity to understand human behavior and to understand why people do the things that they do. Like I said, because this behavior baffles me.
Mr. Speaker.
And
The Honourable Member, Ms. Amanza Walton Dizier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand on a point of order, Standing Order 48. I just want to be clear. Are we now allowed to say the word corruption in the chambers? Because I've heard the Honourable Member, hold on. I've heard the Honourable Member say it on 3 different occasions in the last minute. So I just want to be very clear as to whether we're now allowed to use the word. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member, we have listened, and she corrected herself. You didn't hear that? When she said that word appears, so she's going to desist, right? So please listen. Go ahead, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I was saying, I developed a natural curiosity, Mr. Speaker, in my time on the bench, as to understand human behavior and why is it that people are motivated to do the things that they do. And I spent a lot of time reading the works of Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist and psychoanalyst, and Young, thank you very much.
Wait, that's Queen Turkey?
That is okay, I stand corrected. It is spelled J-U-N-G. That's the spelling of the name.
Lecturing us on pronunciation again?
But he describes, Mr. Speaker, the mechanism, the individual, that an individual deploys, that is projected, that is called projecting of traits that you most abhor in yourself onto other people. He coins this phrase, Mr. Speaker, as shadow, ironically, shadow projection. The shadow being the dark things in yourself that you can't confront, and so you want to project it. You project it onto the other person and criticize them for it. Criticize them for it. Mr. Speaker, it's a defense mechanism that individuals deploy unconsciously, because they have to attribute their own thoughts and feelings and bad behavior onto the other person to avoid dealing with the shame and the discomfort and insecurity that these thoughts come.
We don't allow that word either.
Oh, to avoid, I apologize, to avoid dealing with the discomfort and insecurity that these feelings bring. So, Mr. Speaker, one might perhaps understand why segments of the opposition say the things that they do. Mr. Speaker, why it is that they decide that they have to denigrate the rest of us on the government side. And Mr. Speaker, we should listen to what they say, Mr. Speaker. We should listen carefully because they are really telling us about themselves. Mr. Speaker, I would like to coin the rest of my remarks from the budget speech of March 12, 1993. Mr. Speaker, and I do this, yes, Mr. Speaker, because
Honorable Minister, I see the Honorable Member, Ms. Amanza Walton Desir, who puts herself up on a pedestal, always. And the Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan, who last night I had to say a few words to, are now treading on a particular standing order. Go ahead, Honorable Minister. Mr. Q. Solomon, please.
Mrs.
Honorable Member, Mr. Prasad. Honorable Member, Mr. Prasad. Please.
Sorry. Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Vincent, I suggest that you take a little while before you return. Please.
Mr. Speaker, clearly some things are rattling them. Mr. Speaker, I would like to coin my remarks for these next few minutes within the context of a little sojourn in history. Because, Mr. Speaker, we've been finding that there has been a deliberate...
Honorable Minister, Honorable Mr. Campbell on his feet. Microphone.
Mr. Speaker, I know you spoke to this before, but I am forced to stand on Standing Order 38, subsection 6, that a member, especially a member of 6 years, almost 6 years in this House, continues to read her speech without the leave of the Speaker, sir. Sorry, it is ridiculous.
Honorable Member, Mr. Campbell, clearly you have a vantage point that I don't have. Honorable Minister, please continue.
Mr. Speaker, just for the record, I have nothing written. I'm making reference to all of my notes. There's no speech written here, Mr. Speaker. But that's the substance with which we have to deal with in this House, Mr. Speaker. We're in this government side in the business of building a nation, serious business. And this is the intervention he makes in the middle of my intervention. This is our shadow Minister of Finance, 15 minutes allotted. And by the way, he designated, Mr. Speaker, himself the shadow because it was the opposition, the main opposition, that has that liberty to designate a shadow minister. But he has prescribed on himself the shadow minister of finance. And gets up to make, yes, that intervention. So, Mr. Speaker, as I move on, it is...
Honorable Member, Mr. Campbell.
The Honorable Member has just made an accusation that I at some point designated myself Shadow Minister of Finance. In the same way, Mr. Speaker, and I've sent you a video today where I was quoted wrongly yesterday. In the same way, I remember saying yesterday.
I will uphold that intervention. Don't impute, because I don't know that the Honorable Minister appointed himself shadow. Right? Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I heard him say that I am the shadow minister. I am shadowing the Ministry of Finance. I heard, and Health, Mr. Speaker. I did not make that up, Mr. Speaker.
Minister, Honorable Minister, we will check back the notes.
Thank you,
Right,
Mr.
we
Speaker.
will.
Thank
Okay,
you.
good.
But that's the same thing. He said he is shadowing. Mr. Speaker, I begin again. Once again, Mr. Speaker, we find that on the other side, they continue to be strangers to the truth in many instances. And the characterization of our history, Mr. Speaker, and where we have come from have often been misrepresented in this House over these last 5 days. And Mr. Speaker, it is in that context that I beg your leave, Mr. Speaker, to use the budget speech of March 12, 1993, to give a brief history lesson of where we've come from, especially for the young people, Mr. Speaker. Because as the saying goes, those who do not remember their history are doomed to repeat it. And Mr. Speaker, I go on to read this budget speech. It begins in September 1990, when general elections were called. All the opposition parties rejected the call demanding that procedures to make the elections free, fair, and transparent were effected before such elections took place. The heroic struggle of our people, supported by the efforts of the Carter Center, United Nations Development Program, other agencies, and friendly government, culminated in a change of government. We are grateful to the international community for the process of making free and fair elections a reality. This achievement resulted in the installation of the PPP civic government, which takes pride in declaring itself as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Mr. Speaker, this budget presentation is indeed a most significant event in that it is our first budget. This is the context that I want the nation and this House to hear. This is our first budget after being kept out of office for 28 years. The last time this party stood before the House to present a budget was December 31st, 1963. And it is no secret that over that period, not only did our economy stagnate and living standards deteriorated rapidly, but Guyana became the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. And also, our young democracy and democratic institutions were sacrificed on the altar of paramountcy of the PNC. His Excellency, the President, has said, with the support of a wide cross-section of freedom-loving Guyanese, fought hard and long for over 25 years to return democracy to our people. Mr. Speaker, this economy has been surveyed, analyzed, and subjected to innumerable consultation. The submission of the PPPC Civic is that the damage over these years was indeed devastating. The PNC hurricane leveled everything in its path, leaving no gain but a great deal of pain in its trail. This honorable member, Dr. David Hines, is the misery with which you are referring to. This honorable member, Dr. David Hines, is the darkness and the oppression to which you are referring to in your poem, It's a Dark Time I Love by Martin Carter. This is the misery. When a 5-year-old girl got to stand in line because there's rationing on sugar and flour, and her siblings got to stand in line in the sun so one person can have 2 pounds of sugar, the other person can buy 2 pounds of flour, the other one can buy a pint of oil, so they all come together and make for hours. When the that is the misery with which we are referring to. That is the misery to which Martin Carter is referring to. Their faces are strained and anxious. Yes, their faces are strained and anxious when they didn't have the money to leave this country and have to be subjected to a healthcare system that condemned them to death. That is, their faces were strained and anxious. Their faces are strained and anxious, Mr. Speaker, when they had 6 children have to sit on one bench to share one textbook in a dilapidated school. Their faces were strained and anxious. Honorable Member David Hines, the PNC regime put people last, Mr. Speaker, and honorable members, under the PPP civic government, people come first. 33 years ago, Mr. Speaker,
And he will do it again.
the finance minister as he then was, time is,
Yes, they would want to.
that is why, Mr. Speaker, when we don't know our history, because we gave them a chance again in 2015, but I move on, and it's the same thing. The harsh realities we are faced with, the finance minister continues to say, the harsh realities we are faced in constructing this budget was one, scheduled debt service obligations accounting for 100% of revenue collection. Our schedule, this is a debate. I'm responding to the honorable gentleman of these interventions yesterday. Our scheduled debt service obligations accounted for 100% of revenue collection, infrastructure in a state of disrepair, inability to execute projects and draw down on external loans, grants, and other forms of financial aid, incompetence, infrastructure in disrepair, no money to pay the social services, no money to pay for the schools. Now, Mr. Speaker, we are happy to announce that Guyana is at a state where 5.5% of our revenue is being made to service debt. So we have the balance of that to pay for social services. Schools, hundreds of schools being built, hospitals being built, world-class healthcare being established. In 2026, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I will move on quickly because I know my time is going to be expended. But Mr. Speaker, the compounding of harsh realities going on, Mr. Speaker, on the compounding of the harsh realities have been the wild, inflammatory charges many compounding all the harsh realities have been the wild, inflammatory charges of ethnic discrimination, which the PNC and its leaders, to no avail, have consistently tried to corrode the legitimacy of the new government. Mr. Speaker, the vast majority of Guyanese will not continue to tolerate this cheap, divisive tactics. In recent times, because you've been relegated to 12 seats from 31, that's how we know that they're not going to continue it. In recent times, Mr. Speaker, this pathetic drivel and rhetoric has sunk so low that under the guise of freedom of expression, the PNC, APNU, AFT, all of the iterations of the pen, continues its invective on this due democratic government charged with a mandate from the Guyanese people to correct the excesses of a failed and sunk regime whose only last straw was ethnicity. Mr. Speaker, we continue to see this display by the intervention of David Hines, the honorable member, where he stood there with his 15 minutes intervention, pointed to the government side of the house and said the ancestors would be more joyful if the African Guyanese on that side, pointing to our side of the aisle, would stand up for the Afro-Guyanese dignity. Mr. Speaker, if we would stand up for the African Guyanese dignity. Mr. Speaker, he also used his last couple minutes to further the divisive rhetoric of who gets more and who don't get more. The hate, the division, Mr. Speaker, people are not going to tolerate it anymore. And Mr. Speaker, this member uses his platform to strip every single time by his words the very dignity he claims to want to uphold or holds us to uphold of Afro-Guyanese, Mr. Speaker. He has stood on his platform, Mr. Speaker, and called the people, and this is a matter of public record, Mr. Speaker, and the words that I'm going to say may upset some of our sensibilities, but it bears repeating, Mr. Speaker, that the people who support the African Guyanese, who support the PPPC government, are lick-bottom, lick-body house slaves. Mr. Speaker, I know it upsets our sensibilities, but Mr. Speaker, it has to be said, because this is the indignity with which
Honorable Minister, say it outside of the House, so let's keep in here to the high level you said we should.
Mr. Speaker,
I am authorized to give you 5 minutes to conclude. It starts now.
Mr. Speaker, this government, Mr. Speaker, is about the true empowerment. And true empowerment is not dependency. It is access, it is inclusion, it is providing an environment for the talents and ambitions of our people, our young people, that they can rise. That is how dignity is built, Mr. Speaker. The dignity we promote is dignity of work, thousands of jobs being provided. The dignity in education being provided. Dignity in enterprise, the development bank, opportunities that are available. The dignity in owning homes. That is where the dignity is, Mr. Speaker. That as a nation, we can rise together. Together, Mr. Speaker. Guyana is for all Guyanese. And this government will remain firm in its resolve to ensure that people of all cultures and ethnic groups participate in and enjoy the fruits of this beautiful country. Mr. Speaker, I will speak very quickly, Mr. Speaker, on crime with which I have responsibility for, to say, Mr. Speaker, and reinforce that crime is on the decline, Mr. Speaker. There is serious reduction of crime being driven by intelligence-led policing, expansion of our surveillance infrastructure, increased police presence, community policing partnerships, investment in training and human capital. We are seeing, Mr. Speaker, this results from this investment, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, security is the pillar of development. And Mr. Speaker, I want to quickly mention that for the benefit of this House, Mr. Speaker, that security and crime fighting is a matter of national development. And, Mr. Speaker, we continue to face the scourge of financial crime in our country, the threat of financial crimes, as all crime, on our national development. And we would like, Mr. Speaker, I would like the House to understand, Mr. Speaker, that if Guyana weakens on its anti-money laundering enforcement, and our anti-money laundering regime, Mr. Speaker, as we speak of financial crimes, undergirds our national development, undergirds our financial sector. And if we have a weak anti-money laundering enforcement, correspondent banking relationships suffer, international financial transactions become harder, investors face a higher compliance risk, and the entire economy pays a price. And every person, Mr. Speaker, must ensure that funds, assets, and benefits that they receive can withstand legal scrutiny. And we need to let the House know, Mr. Speaker, because this, about the offense of money laundering that is created under Section 3, that a person commits the offense of money laundering if he knowingly or having reasonable grounds to believe that any property in whole or in part, directly or indirectly, represents any person's proceeds of crime. If the person converts or transfers property knowing or having reason to believe that the property is the proceeds of crime, conceals or disguises the true nature, origin, location, disposition, movement, or ownership of that property, knowing or having reason to believe that the property is the proceeds of crime, acquires, possesses, or uses that property knowing or having reasonable grounds to believe that it's derived directly or indirectly from the proceeds of crime. It assists any person who is involved in the commission of an offense in paragraphs A, B, and C to evade the legal consequences of his actions, participates in, associates with, or commit or aids and abets, counsels or procures or facilitates the commission of any of the above acts. And the act goes on to describe what proceeds of the crime mean. Mr. Speaker, it behoves us for the House to understand this, because there have been some worrying developments, Mr. Speaker. The proceeds of the crime means any property derived or realized directly or indirectly from a serious offense, and includes on a proportional basis property into which any property derived or realized directly from the offense was later converted, transformed, or intermingled, as well as income, capital, or other economic gains derived or realized from such property at any time since the offense, and indirect proceeds of a crime, including income, profits, or other benefits from the proceeds of the crime and property held by any other person, assets of every kind. What this regime, this AML regime, and this legal framework provides, Mr. Speaker, that if I go out and rob a store, take the money home to my father, and he takes his pension money that he was saving up, and we put it together. That is the commingling with which you're talking about, and we go and we buy a property together. The rent from that income property that you go and you rent subsequently, the rental from that property is proceeds of a crime. And that, Mr. Speaker,
Minister,
we wish
as
to,
you're dealing with crime, you've exhausted
good, I will
all of
close
the-
off, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, please indulge me. I will close now. Recidivism is down, historic numbers. Mr. Speaker, I want to close, Mr. Speaker, by noting that we will take financial crime seriously. We will continue to enforce our anti-money laws, and I, for the benefit of the House, read out the substance, and I urge this House to go read of what constitutes a crime under the Anti-Money Laundering Act. And Mr. Speaker, this matters to us because Guyana, as I wrap up, Guyana is on a trajectory of important nation building. Our financial sector, our financial regime has to be protected, and we will continue to protect it from crime and proceeds of crime and anything that will derail the growth and the trajectory of nation building that we are on. And Mr. Speaker, in the words of the finance minister, as he then was, like never before, as we envision this, our new Guyana in 2026, as we grow and our nation building and we are transformed like never before. The words of Martin Carter, Guyana's celebrated poet, echoes in the hearts of our people, and now in this august chamber. Everywhere, the songs of life are floating, like new ships on a new river, sailing, sailing, tomorrow and the world, and the songs of life. And all my friends are, yes, tomorrow and the whole world, awake and full of good life. Mr. Speaker, I beg to commend this budget to the House and move the motion. Oh, beg.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, the Honorable Oneish Walwell. The Honorable the Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, the Honorable Mahabir Anil Nandlal, Senior Counsel. Sir, your time starts now.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I want to begin by extending my congratulations to my distinguished brother, the Minister of Finance, and his staff. Of course, all the staff in all the other ministries and all the other ministers whose collective efforts were presented here as in the form of our 2026 budget. And of course, I want to especially commend the Minister of Finance for his marathon presentation of that budget with his characteristic elegance. 6.5 hours, I think. So, Mr. Speaker, coming low down in the batting order has given me the advantage of listening to a number of presentations, almost the entire opposition side, and I dare say, Mr. Speaker, with respect, an inexperienced opposition, but they regaled us in all types of lectures. They purport to explain to us about how budgets should be presented, how policies should be crafted, all manner of things. When you listen to them, rather than temper their presentation with the commensurate inexperience, they unfortunately exhibited an uncanny degree of arrogated knowledge and experience. I want to lecture this bunch of veterans, as my brother Jacob said. So, Mr. Speaker, I thought it best to put on the record again of this House that the People's Progressive Party, on whose behalf I have the privilege to speak, has been crafting and presenting budgets in the Colonial Assembly and in this National Assembly since the year 1953, 73 years ago. And in terms of winning free and fair elections, we have demonstrated that we are the most successful unit in that regard, not only in Guyana, but the entire Caribbean. We know this thing. Every election, we go to the people with a manifesto, and we discuss with the people that manifesto. And the people, if they endorse the manifesto, then we tell them to elect us. And when they elect us, they put us in government, we implement that manifesto. Mr. Speaker, that winning formula was once again employed in the September 1st elections. And from 2020, we have been engaging constantly with the people of our country, recording those engagements, and we produced a budget which we took to the people under the banner Forward Together for a Better Guyana, the manifesto. And we traveled the length and breadth of this country, and we explained this manifesto to the people. We explained every policy. We explained every project. We explained every program. And we said to the people that if you wish us to implement these policies, if you agree with these programs, if you support these plans, then elect us and we will implement them. And we have, Mr. Speaker, an unenviable track record of success. We have that, of delivering on promises. So the people believed us. And when the results of the 1st of September 2025 elections were revealed, when the election results came out, we got 36 seats, meaning that the people voted solidly for those programs, solidly for those plans, and solidly for those projects. And they are contained in this budget that we are presenting. So with the greatest of respect, you don't agree with it? You didn't vote for us. You didn't agree with it? You didn't vote for us. The people who vote for us, we are representing them and every other Guyanese. That is the reality of politics, my friend. That is the reality of politics. And you know what? We don't have to put it on a manifesto that we are putting people first. We are in politics together. And the APNU did just like us. They did just like us. They went to the people. They had a manifesto. They told the people, these are the plans, these are the projects, these are the policies. If you want them, if you want us, and if you want these implemented, vote for us. And we are putting you first. They put that on the document. When the results came out, the people put them last. Today, they have been reduced to the back benches of the parliament. The last benches. Last benches. So, Mr. Speaker, and let me explain these results, because I still hear some quibbling. One member says seats don't matter. We got 36 seats, you got 12. I know you're not strong in maths. That's 3 times the amount of seats that you got. You got 16, we got 2.25 times that you got. So you must know your places when you're talking to this side. You must know your places. And you, the Honorable Amanza Nazir, we have to restructure a seat. She only got 3/4
Did you say
of a
Nadir?
chair. Sorry?
Did you say Nadir?
Desir.
Oh, sorry.
Desir. We'll never make such a mistake, sir. So we need to configure a new chair. She only got 3/4 of a seat.
Actually, it was like half. It was like half because
Mr. Speaker, and we know why the people voted the way they did. because I sat in this house and I heard an honorable member on that side say that the 5Bs program that consisted of 32 20-seat buses, 32 22-seat buses, 3 bicycles, and 12 boats, that is a more superior program than our cash grant program. And when the honorable member said so, the comrade next to him said, you hear him? He's a businessman. He's a businessman, comrade. 32 bus. We are giving 206,000 children of our country $85,000. And these people are talking about 3 bicycles, 2 boats, and 32 bus. And they're surprised that they're on that side in a minuscule number of 12. And Mr. Speaker, I heard the honorable member Dexter Todd, he's not here, and maybe it is inexperience. The honorable member came to the podium and he was shrieking and he was screaming. I had to walk out of the house while the leader of the opposition was getting migraine in the court. I got migraine in the parliament listening to him. The comrade was screaming and screeching like a hyena in heat. But he said a couple of things that I must respond to. Mr. Speaker, he said a couple of things that I must respond to. Mr. Speaker, I am a fan of National Geographic. Check it out. He spoke about the International Observer reports in relation to the 2025 elections. And he tried to create some type of misconception and misconstruction of what the reports said. But let me say one thing. Every single observer team that observed these elections, their reports said unequivocally that the results declared by GCOM reflect the will of the electorate of this country. That is what they said. The comrade is a lawyer. He would know that that is the ratio decidendi of the report, and everything else is obiter dicta. He made another statement, and perhaps the honorable member Ganesh will convey to the honorable member, to Mr. Aubrey Norton, that he got to hold some classes with these people. There are certain things that you don't bring up. There are certain aspects of your past that you don't revisit. But inexperience came to the fore, and the comrades chose to speak about Dr. Walter Rodney's assassination. And yes, I will get to Comrade David Hines shortly. And he tried to convey in this, tried to distance the PNC from the assassination of that great historian and Pan-African scholar of Guyanese birth, a man whom we respect, and this country owes a great duty to revere and continue to respect him. It was the PPP government that established an independent commission to inquire into the death of Dr. Rodney. And that commission was consisted of international jurists, not Guyanese, jurists from the Caribbean, specially selected. The PNC appeared with counsel at that commission. They appeared by counsel. They chose to participate. And of course, by the time the commission concluded its work, they got into government and they stifled the work of the commission. But fortunately, the commission had completed its tasks. And let me read into the record, Mr. Speaker, 2 findings of the commission. Firstly, Dr. Walter Rodney was a man of large and significant stature both in Guyana and beyond at the time of his death. He could only have been killed in what we find to be a state-organized assassination with the knowledge of Prime Minister Burnham in the Guyana of that period. It was a controlled society, and Burnham had a large and detailed knowledge of whatever was being done by the state and its agencies. Now let me go to conclusion number 2. We have no hesitation in holding that Gregory Smith was responsible for Dr. Walter Rodney's death on the 13th of June, 1980. And that in so doing, he was acting as an agent of the state, having been aided and abetted so to do by individuals holding position of leadership in state agencies and committed to carry out the wishes of the PNC administration. Put that on the record. That is what the Commission of Inquiry found. Mr. Speaker, when we come to this
And
House,
you'll table that report?
I will table the report is before the House.
Okay, sorry.
The third point that the honorable member made, and I don't know why this honorable member will say these things. He said to this House that this government must take its knees off of the neck of the judiciary. They watch TV and they get carried away. There is no originality. They get carried away with slogans in America. What is the evidence in this country that there has ever been an attempt to interfere with the independence of the judiciary by this administration? I say no one can produce any such evidence. And that is why I said, why the honorable member would go down that road when he sits on the benches of the People's National Congress. And the People's National Congress in 1970 abolished appeals to the Privy Council, removed the Privy Council from our legal system, thereby making the Court of Appeal of Guyana our final court, then go to the Court of Appeal and nail the party flag. Look, the party flag on the wall of the Court of Appeal to say to the people of Guyana, the PNC now controls the pinnacle of the Guyana judiciary. Under the doctrine of party paramountcy. And this comrade comes here to cast aspersions on the PPP. My God. Let me get back to my presentation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to turn my attention now to the We Invest in Nationhood Party. A party that all of us would agree was born out of the most dubious circumstances. What is manifestly undoubted is had the honorable leader of the opposition not faced certain legal problems, none of you would have been there. You know that. Each and every one of you know that. You were born out of personal necessity. Born out of personal necessity. But we live in a democracy. We live in a democracy. No! You are so much scorned that they prefer to go over there.
That's correct. That is correct.
You have scarred the psyche of generations. Mr. Speaker, when people have their personal problems, we stay away from it. That's common decency. That's the order of civil society. But when you begin to hold public office, when you are an elected member of the National Assembly, more so a leader of the opposition, then some aspect of your private business becomes our business, the people business, and the public business. And the matter is compounded by the fact that the honorable member chooses as his main platform anti-corruption, not corruption, anti-corruption. That was not banned. I got you, the Speaker. And he chooses the platform of transparency and accountability to launch his campaign. And nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that. Those are virtuous and pious platforms to mount. But when you do that, you must know that it is not a one-way street. As the Honorable Member Swetnam, and I told you I'll quote you, she said it beautifully, and she made it a thematic aspect of her presentation. She said, accountability is not optional. Accountability is not optional. And Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member, Honorable Opposition Leader is scheduled to speak after me. And in my capacity as the most senior law officer in this land, I call upon him to explain to this Honorable House, and by extension, the people of this country, why he was sanctioned by the Office of Foreign Assets Control of the United States of America. Accountability, Swetnam, is not optional. He must come here and account to the people. He must come here and tell us. I call upon the Honorable Member to also explain why he's a subject of federal indictments in the United States of America on serious charges of money laundering and fraud. Accountability is not optional. Mr. Speaker, it is also common knowledge that the Honorable Member is the subject of an extradition request. It is also common knowledge that the Honorable Member is strenuously resisting the extradition process, as he's entitled to do. And let me say for the record, Mr. Speaker, that as Attorney General of this cooperative republic, I shall do as I have been doing, everything lawfully possible to ensure that he's accorded all the safeguards that the law and the Constitution guarantee to him. But I have to call upon him in my capacity as a member of this House to explain to the people of Guyana and this House why he's unwilling to surrender, to go to the U.S., face his accusers, and vindicate his innocence. I call upon him to do so. After all, Honorable Member Swetnam, accountability is not optional. The people of Guyana deserve those explanations. And Mr. Speaker, also, I'm not finished. The Guyana Revenue Authority has assessed the Honorable Opposition Leader and his businesses to be indebted to the GRA in what presumptively are taxes evaded in the sum of 190 billion Guyana dollars. Let me explain the magnitude of this sum. Mr. Speaker, when I entered this National Assembly, when I entered the National Assembly for the first time in my first debate 20 years ago, the national budget of this country was $90.5 billion. The commute Cartaway, 2.5 times that amount. The whole national budget of the country. In my first budgetary debate as Attorney General in 2012,
Mr. Speaker.
the national...
Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Yes, honorable member.
Mr. Speaker, I stand on two standing orders here. For the 1-1, which requires the member to confine his or her observations to the subject under discussion, which is the budget, and standing order for the 1-6, which the member was just imputing improper motive to the member of assembly. The issue that he was talking as relates to GRA, it was before the court. They took it from the court, so it's not a case that it has been tried, and at this point he is imputing.
Honorable member, the speaker had given a lot of latitude to persons, and so.
Mr.
Honorable
Speaker,
Attorney General, please continue.
my presentation is very, very part of the budget. I just said that 2.5 national budgets were taken. And I'm going to say now that in my first budgetary debate as Attorney General of Guyana in 2012, the national budget was $192 billion, the entire country budget. The subject of that audit is $190 billion. It's another country's national budget we are speaking about. Where is the pundit? He worried about a couple, worried genuinely about Gaisuku. But you know, the whole of Gaisuku's budget, allocation in this budget is $13.4 billion. The allegation over there is 15 times that sum. It's 15 Gaisuku budget they gone with. Where the honorable member? Nandrani Singh made a good point. She said that the budget has about over $70 billion of income tax in it. Great point. People pay a lot of taxes in this country. Check how many, I want the people of Guyana to divide 190 billion by 70 billion. And you will see how many times. About 3 times the size of all the taxes paid by the people of Guyana for the year 2025. Carted off.
23 times the ministry budget.
Mr. Speaker, I wanted to ask the pundit if he could find 2 chaupai in the Ramayana to help explain these atrocities that I'm speaking about. Or at least 1 verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Why he's not here. Well, Mr. Speaker, these are serious and damning matters. And that is why we cannot play politics with national matters. You don't come to the national parliament, that's what we were saying. And they were saying that we were being political. We are saying that this is the highest representative institution in this country. And when you come here, this is the, I have to say it, I don't want to sound immodest. This is the big league. This is the big league. If you are not qualified to represent the people of this country, don't come here. Don't come here, you dupe them at elections. We try to educate them, but they were duped. Oh, Mr. Speaker.
They have all been duped over there.
And then I wasn't Mr. Speaker, you know, I have not yet spoken about the 50 million US dollars and the 10,000 kilogram of gold that are the subject of the indictment. I haven't spoken about that. And I didn't plan to speak about the Lamborghini either. But then Honorable Member Natasha Lewis said in her presentation, and I nearly fell off my chair. She said in her presentation, I wish that the whole of Guyana could drive Lamborghini like my boss. Well, she didn't realize that the Lamborghini got the boss in all the problem. She wants the whole of the country to be extradited, Your Honor. We can't do that. So, Mr. Speaker, I thought that I repudiate that for the public record. So, Mr. Speaker, when the honorable member comes, the leader of the opposition, I hope that we can get some answers in the interest of transparency and accountability. Accountability is not optional. Now, I send you home, girl. Mr. Speaker, the rule of law is the glue that keeps modern society together. In its absence, anarchy and lawlessness prevail. Look around the world and you will see where there is an absence of the rule of law, there is social disorder, there is civil unrest, there is economic stagnation, and there is a breakdown of civil society itself. In a state of anarchy and lawlessness, not a single project in this budget that we are debating can be properly accomplished, and not a single measure effectively implemented. The Attorney General, Chambers, and the Ministry of Legal Affairs is a critical part of the state's architecture that ensures that there is adherence to the rule of law and obedience to the Constitution. The ministry holds executive responsibility in relation to the country's administration of justice. It is also this ministry's responsibility to work with other ministries and important agencies of state in order to design and craft the legislative agenda of Guyana. Most, if not all, the main policies, plans, and projects of the government require a statutory framework for their implementation and proper regulation. The Attorney General Chambers plays a significant role in designing and crafting this framework. Mr. Speaker, from the year 2023 to 2025, the Attorney General Chambers have been engaged in two important projects: revising the laws of Guyana and updating our law reports. Revising the law of Guyana, Mr. Speaker, for the benefit of the viewers and, of course, honorable members, is simply all the legislation that we are passing. At some point in time, we have to insert them in the consolidated volumes of the law and reprint the laws to reflect those insertions. That is revision. We last revised our laws in 2012, and we are doing a second one. And I am proud to inform the House that we have completed revision of the laws from 2012 to 2022, December 31st, and we will be launching them shortly. Law reports, Mr. Speaker, many of us following the many cases that are attracting public attention in the press, and they are hearing about case law being quoted from all over the world. Case law reports allow easy access to past decided cases. So if there is a case going on in Guyana and there's a particular legal issue, I can draw from a jurisdiction with a similar legal system across the Commonwealth: India, Africa, Australia, Canada, England, the Caribbean, and I can go to those countries' reports and pull down and find a case of similarity which can apply. Well, the law in Guyana, we also have a very long tradition of compiling our law reports dating back to the mid-19th century, but we have had gaps since. And in this installment, in 2012, I launched 10 reports from 1977 to 2007. And just after these budget estimates are completed, we are going to launch, along with the revision, law reports from 2008 to 2022, law reports of Guyana, in which you will find all the important cases that we have decided in all the courts of our country. A very important institution for lawyers, judges, and even academically inclined people. Mr. Speaker, since the year 1996, under the presidency of the great Dr. Chedi Jagan, Guyana has been canvassing at the Council of Legal Education and elsewhere for permission to establish on these shores a regional law school. In the year 20, and of course, we have failed abysmally over the last few years. Honorable members will recall that my predecessor, Basil Williams, he went ahead and he turned the sod. He made a front page of the paper. He named the law school, but he never got permission from the lawful authorities to construct the law school. So it turned out to be a dupe. It turned out to be a sham. Anyhow, Mr. Speaker, in 2022, at a cabinet meeting, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali said, AG, go and let us get that law school done. And I am proud to announce that under Dr. President Mohammed Irfan Ali, we secure the permission of Council in September 2025 for the construction of a regional law school in Guyana. So far, we have already identified and cleared 8 acres of land at Campus Turkine of UG, and in this budget, we have the first capital injection, and during the year 2026, we will begin the construction of a law school in Guyana. It is going to be a regional law school. It will attract students from across the Caribbean, and of course, it will provide cheap and accessible legal education to our own Guyanese. This is not only an academic institution, but it is an economic venture, because people of the Caribbean will come here, they will have to live, they will have to find accommodation, they will have to board, lodge, and eat, and Guyanese will benefit from those investments. Mr. Speaker, the Legal Affairs Ministry and the Attorney General Chambers is also responsible for representing the state of Guyana, both in Guyana and internationally. And as is public knowledge, the Attorney General Chambers coordinates with the Office of the President and the Foreign Affairs Ministry in assembling and be responsible for our representation at the International Court of Justice in the arbitral award matter between Guyana and Venezuela. And Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to inform the House that on the 27th of January 2026, all the parties in that case were notified by the court that the hearings on the merits of the case will open on Monday, the 4th of May 2026, and a detailed schedule for the hearings will be communicated shortly. Mr. Speaker, during the tenure of the APNU in government, they ran up debts, attracted liabilities, and put us in all sorts of problems across the globe. They took our rice from our rice farmers and millers, and they sold it, 7 million US of it in Panama, and never bothered to collect payment. We had to engage at the level of His Excellency the President. We engaged through the Ministry of Agriculture, through the Attorney General Chambers, and the Foreign Affairs Ministry, and only in 2025 we were able to secure payment, and the Minister of Agriculture, my distinguished brother, who unfortunately has a personal problem right now, distributed the proceeds to our rice farmers and rice millers.
Honorable Attorney General, you're in the last 5 minutes.
I have last 5 minutes. Mr. Speaker, I have so much more to say. Mr. Speaker, we have been building. The Legal Affairs Ministry also has executive responsibility over the administration of justice in this country. The administration of justice is one of the most crucial institutions in any democracy. It is to these institutions that the people turn for enforcement of their legal rights, constitutional freedoms, and resolution of their disputes. This institution also ensures the prosecution and trial of criminal offenses. Mr. Speaker, access to justice before an independent judiciary is the sine qua non of the rule of law and a democratic society. Our government continues to invest in the administration of justice, building out courthouses right across the length and breadth of Guyana. In 2024, we opened courts, magistrates' courts at Port Kaituma, Mahaika, Madia, Mabaruma, Friendship, a children's court at Charity, and a mental health court at Bartica, and the Anna Regina Magistrates Court. In 2026, we have many more courts that are under construction and will be opened. Mr. Speaker, we also invest in the judiciary in ensuring that they have personnel as well as the institutional capability, technological capability to manage their caseload. And today, I am pleased to announce that at almost every level of the judiciary, excepting the Magistrates' Court for the time being, the High Court, the Full Court, the Court of Appeal, and the CCJ, the entire litigation process is now electronic and paperless. Electronic and paperless. And we are working to bring that to the Magistrates' Court as well. Mr. Speaker, we have a long line of legislation in our legislative agenda slated for this year. We have the Developmental Bank Fund Bill, Guyana Natural Gas Bill, the Companies Bill, Evidence Bill, Depreciation Assets Sale Bill, a Trust Bill, Rehabilitation of Offenders Bill, Judge Alone Trial Bill, Alternative Sentencing Bill, Business Name Registration Bill, Road Safety Amendment Bill, National Heritage Preservation Bill, and Mr. Speaker, I have 2 or 3 more pages, which I will circulate for honorable members. Mr. Speaker, it is this ministry that also holds the responsibility for Guyana's AML CFT sector. And Mr. Speaker, that sector ensures not only we guard against money laundering type offenses, as my distinguished sister, the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, spoke so elegantly and eloquently about, but we ensure that our financial systems are protected from contaminants emanating from illicit means and illicit activities. And Mr. Speaker, I want to report here that we went to the CFATF, which is the governing body that has to assess us and examine our systems, examine our laws, examine our institutional framework, and examine our performance. And they assessed us over a nearly 1-year period. And we scored the highest in the independent English-speaking Caribbean. We are to prepare now, Mr. Speaker, for another round of evaluation scheduled to take place next year. I'll be bringing a slew of bills to this House, Mr. Speaker, to meet new and evolving and emerging requirements that we have to satisfy at the international and global level. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, I have much more to say, but I can't say it. We'll have to engage outside of the House to bring the nation up to speed with all the developments taking place in the sector. I close, Mr. Speaker, by lending my most humble but solid support to Budget 2026 as we continue to build Guyana, beautify Guyana, modernize Guyana, and secure the future of all Guyanese. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs. Just setting some of the records straight, we're pulling up all the verbatim records for the contentious issues raised, and to the Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan, I did err in saying I have an update on our late Member of Parliament. My apologies. And now for The Honorable Member, Chief Whip for the Opposition, the Honorable Member, Ms. Tabitha Sarabo Hali.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to make my contribution to the Budget 2026 debate. But permit me first, Mr. Speaker, to take a few minutes to deal with some statements that I must address at the onset. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member before me, that spoke before me, spoke about Dr. Walter Rodney and all that has transpired. Now, I don't need to defend the PNC. I think they're quite capable of defending themselves. But if I can recall, during that same process, there was a gentleman that was asked to come back to this country, because apparently he was the person, if I can call his name, Skip Roberts, who had all the information on what transpired and was supposed to give the main evidence as to what transpired. And for some reason, they put him up in a hotel for 6 days. He was never actually brought to testify. And this was under the PPP, so the question is why? If they had all the answers and had all the evidence, why did it not ensure that he came and gave the evidence? Mr. Speaker, I also don't understand why the Minister of Legal Affairs has an issue with all Guyanese driving Lamborghinis. I would think that in this fastest growing economy, with Guyanese doing better based on what the Minister of Finance is saying, that you would want the Guyanese to get to a point where they can actually afford Lamborghinis in this country. Mr. Speaker, any reasonable and intelligent person would prefer a comedian than accept any government, that repeatedly elevates individuals facing serious and widely reported allegations of sexual misconduct, domestic violence, child exploitation, and other grave wrongdoings to ministerial office. What is even more troubling is the silence of those in that government, any government, who sit alongside him, fully aware of these allegations and countless accusations of sexual harassment and other forms of intimidation, and present themselves in this honorable house as though they are the paragons of virtue. Mr. Speaker, you would expect a 3-term member of Parliament, a 2-time minister, and cabinet member to come to this House with something of substance that would contribute meaningfully to a body debate. Mr. Speaker, I have long held the view that neither time nor experience automatically matures into wisdom. One may simply repeat the same errors for years, in this case 3 terms, as a member of Parliament, and yet he is being applauded by those who have little interest in honest counsel and even less concern for humility. When such affirmation, Mr. Speaker, replaces reflection, arrogance and tomfoolery often go unnamed, Mr. Speaker. Hence, we are graced with the same flamboyant rhetoric being bellowed like a prima donna starring in an inferiority complex opera show. And perhaps, Mr. Speaker, when one is still striving to justify the inefficiencies of the past, it is unrealistic to expect anything markedly different in the present. So for the rest of the 13th Parliament, I'd like to say to the honourable member, sing on, prima donna, sing on. Maybe one day they will provide the help you need to compensate for the obvious lack. Mr. Speaker, as I sat and listened to the honourable member last evening, doing his utmost to ensure his masters were pleased, the only words that come to mind were, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Mr. Speaker, after listening to such an abysmal attempt at justifying praising someone who has caused you such harm, I now understand why the other honourable member said, if you can be bought by someone, you can be bought by anyone. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Juan Edghill ought to be guided by the very word he professes to the members of his pew. 2 Timothy 3:16 and 17 tells us, all scripture is inspired by God and is useful to teach us what is true and to make us realize what is wrong in our lives. It corrects us when we are wrong and teaches us to do what is right. Mr. Speaker, the word should convict the Honourable Bishop. He must not enter this house behaving like the serpent who deceived Eve into believing a simple bite would open her eyes. This member presides over the ministry with the largest budget allocation year after year, Mr. Speaker, yet produces some of the poorest quality of work year after year. Year after year. This minister holds the record for the most repairs to completed works in the shortest span of time. Almost every project he touches requires immediate remediation. Mr. Speaker, soon we will need a specific line item in the budget titled Bishop's Repairs. Perhaps, Mr. Speaker, perhaps the honourable member should seek deliverance. It might just save the taxpayers some money. As for the Honourable Member Jacobs, Honourable Member Jacobs, during his maiden presentation, he claimed to feel like a veteran. I must agree, he sounded like a veteran, Mr. Speaker. Specifically, an old PPP-groomed campaign presenter regurgitating tired punchlines, Mr. Speaker. Then came the pomposity, the gloating over his title as minister. That, Mr. Speaker, is a fundamental problem on that side of the House. They view high office as a status of entitlement that allows them to lord over others, rather than an office of service to the people. Servant leadership, Mr. Speaker, is clearly a concept they have yet to grasp. I will move on, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to congratulate the leader of WIN, the Honourable Member, Mr. Asadin Mohammed, on his newly elected position as Leader of the Opposition. Congratulations to my fellow MPs of WIN who shattered all expectations, and together we did the work to become the first party in just 3 months to take the position of the main opposition in Guyana's Parliament. In just over 3 months, Mr. Speaker, a political movement that many dismissed and clearly underestimated has emerged as the main opposition in this National Assembly, holding 16 seats. What was most underestimated, Mr. Speaker, was not a party, but the will of the people. From Region 1 to Region 10, thousands of Guyanese made it clear that they no longer accept politics as usual. After almost 60 years of independence, they are demanding something fundamentally different. Not louder speeches, not just larger budgets, but leadership that meets people where they are and responds to their real needs. The people have chosen a different direction. They have chosen leadership that treats all Guyanese equally, that believes disagreement can be principled and respectful, and holds that the wealth of this nation should never have to pass through party loyalty before citizens can have access to it. Mr. Speaker, I further wish to congratulate all other members of Parliament on their elections to this House. I pray that we take the oath we took seriously and work in the best interests of the people of this country. To the public servants who worked in every ministry and agency to help put this budget together, I thank you. Mr. Speaker, for 4 days, this House has been asked to accept assurances instead of answers. We have listened to the Minister with responsibility for finance insist that spending $1.5 trillion automatically places people first. Yet after 4 days of debate, ministers on the government side have struggled to clearly explain how this budget improves the lives of ordinary Guyanese in a substantive way. What we have witnessed, Mr. Speaker, is an overflow of arrogance. Whether the government accepts it or not, figures provided by GCOM show that WIN represents approximately 109,000 Guyanese voters. Those Guyanese sent us here to ask questions. They sent us here to demand clarity. They sent us here to represent their interests. Arrogance in this House does not diminish us, Mr. Speaker. Arrogance in this House does not diminish us, Mr. Speaker. It diminishes Parliament itself. And by extension, it diminishes every Guyanese who deserves respect, every Guyanese who deserves proper answers and serious engagement on Budget 2026. Mr. Speaker, permit me to place on the record a matter that goes to the core of parliamentary standards, member safety, and the dignity of this honorable House. Mr. Speaker, it was mentioned earlier, I won't call names, that an incident occurred involving a government minister in which sexually degrading and threatening language was directed at a female member of this assembly.
I dealt with that already, so please.
I was right here. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, the conduct, if I may say so, I wouldn't say what it is, represents what I believe is a fundamental breach, and I hope, as you indicated, that you've dealt with it, and it is dealt with in a manner that addresses decisively the issues and concerns that were spoken about. Let me now turn my attention to the budget. Mr. Speaker, it is always impressive theater when a government comes to this honorable House boasting of the biggest budget ever, delivered over 6 hours, followed by self-congratulation for presenting the largest budget over the longest period of time. Year after year, Mr. Speaker, the expectation is that ministers entrusted with spending over $1 trillion will come to this House and clearly outline what the money will be spent on, what gaps have been identified, what problems are being remedied, what monitoring and evaluation has informed any shift in policy direction. But size and duration do not equal substance, Mr. Speaker. We are repeatedly told that this is a people-first budget. The obvious question, therefore, arises. Which people are actually being put first? Mr. Speaker, let us examine how they are putting people first. Yesterday, my colleague who did an excellent job in opening, Honorable Odessa Primus, spoke about the culture industry. Being a part of that industry for most of her life, she did an excellent job identifying some of the concerns in that industry, one of which was the forgotten legends of the cultural industry. But, Mr. Speaker, the minister came after her, and instead of listening to what she had to say, given her first-hand experience, just decided to throw it to one side. A comedian doesn't know anything about culture. But let's read what was said. Let us read what was said. I came across an article on Facebook that I will also send to the Honorable Speaker. The article was written by none other than Annette Arjun. Miss Annette Arjun writes, Odessa Primacy's presentation hit a nerve because all that she said about us not honoring our heroes while they are alive, much less when dead, were spot on. When Dave was alive and we drove across the Demerara Bridge and saw the new roundabout being constructed, I reached out to the minister and asking if a statue of Dave with a guitar could have been considered, given he was born in Region 3 and the relevance of Blade of Grass. Among his other major contributions, that did not happen. Since his passing, 1.5 years ago, I have advocated tirelessly for his legacy to be preserved, to no avail to date. Only recently I shared that I hope this will happen in my lifetime. The question in Dave's song, Where Are Our Heroes, Caribbean, remains unanswered in Guyana. This, Mr. Speaker, from the wife of a Guyanese icon. This, Mr. Speaker, Dave Martin, who has made songs that resonate with us until today. This, Mr. Speaker, a song that we use at the beginning of our parliament every sitting. This is how they put people first, Mr. Speaker. You are good enough to be used, but not good enough to be honored. The budget relies heavily on announcements, Mr. Speaker. It relies heavily on projections and repetition, but it's strikingly light on outcomes, strikingly light on timelines and accountability. We are told what will happen over time, but rarely when, rarely how, or for whom. Governance is not measured, Mr. Speaker, by how long a speech lasts or how large a number sounds. Governance is measured by whether policies materially improves people's lives. Let me be clear, Mr. Speaker. This budget does contain measures aimed at the poor and vulnerable. I won't pretend that it doesn't. But those measures do not lift people out of poverty. They manage it. What we are witnessing is not poverty alleviation, Mr. Speaker. It is poverty preservation. Cash transfers for struggling households are delayed, diluted, and stretched across 5-year timelines, while other policy decisions, such as tax concessions for double-cab vehicles, are immediately implemented. That contrast tells us everything about the priorities of the Poverty Preservation Plan. Selective urgency is not good governance. It is political prioritization. Mr. Speaker, when we examine this budget holistically, the picture worsens. There is no provision for salary increases. It's not stated. I guess it will come at some point. Instead, we hear of a modest adjustment to the income tax threshold, translating into only a few $1,000s more in monthly take-home pay for a limited group. Another showing, Mr. Speaker, of the Poverty Preservation Plan. This exposes a harsh truth, Mr. Speaker. Too many Guyanese earn so little that they cannot rent a modest home, they cannot pay their utilities, they cannot buy groceries, they cannot save and live with dignity. If members on the other side, Mr. Speaker, believe that life is improving, believe that the minimum wage is good enough, I challenge them to live for 6 months on the national minimum wage. I challenge them to live for 6 months on the national minimum wage. Use public transportation daily. Come out of your Prados. Rent a modest 2-bedroom home. Rely solely on public health care. Public health care. Pay utilities, buy groceries, and attempt to save on that minimum wage, Mr. Speaker. Then return to this House and tell the nation how well people are truly doing. That may be the only way, Mr. Speaker, that those on the other side of the House would come to understand that what they have been producing as a budget year after year is nothing more than a poverty preservation plan. Mr. Speaker, the government boasts of hospitals and facilities, but buildings without adequate staffing, buildings without equipment and supplies impose hidden costs on citizens. When ambulances take hours to arrive, Mr. Speaker, when families are forced to pay privately, when preventable tragedies occur, this is not development, Mr. Speaker. This is governance failure. Mr. Speaker, I'll go off script for a while. On January 13, 2026, my 100-year-old grandfather passed away at home. At 12:50, I called the ambulance. At 1:30, I called the ambulance. At 2 o'clock, I called the ambulance. Who? They said they had none. Then, Mr. Speaker, we called the police after he passed. The police said they're waiting for the ambulance. When the ambulance shows up, then they will show up. We decided then to get a private doctor to pronounce him dead. This is a reflection of how much they put the people first. When families are forced to pay privately, Mr. Speaker, on Monday, the Honorable Sheriff Duncan, he questioned the Minister of Human Services about the care that they would have given to little Soraya's relatives after the tragedy that happened. And I listened to her responses. Mr. Speaker, what got me was the fact that 2 weeks ago I actually went to the family just to check in, just to see how they were coping. And in listening to what has transpired and hearing from the minister, there was something that was missing. Mr. Speaker, the victims that were still in the hospital that have survived that incident are currently paying privately out of their own pockets at a private hospital locally and one overseas. No help from the government. The family of Soraya, apparently, who had a little while before this whole incident had applied for a house lot. Never got one, but when this whole tragedy happened and everybody was coming to their door, somebody said, ask about the house lot, see if you can get it. So she decided to see what would happen. She was eventually told that she would get a house. She would have to pay $5 million for it, and the government will just help with $500,000. This is someone who is working at the Stabroek market, they're trying their best to survive on the income that they're getting, dealing with the tragedy. And in the midst of their grief, they're told that they need added expenses to deal with everything that is happening. This is how they're apparently putting people first. Mr. Speaker, even where development banks, youth grants, and incentives are mentioned, access is not always perceived as even. Too many Guyanese believe, rightly or wrongly, that political affiliation determines opportunity. I have heard too many stories of citizens being told that to resolve issues or access contracts, they must first go to Freedom House and pledge allegiance. I cannot be the only one that has heard those stories. If that is not the epitome of party paramountcy, I do not know what is. Mr. Speaker, a system where benefits are perceived to flow by favor rather than fairness is not democracy. It is governance by discretion and fear. Is this the one Guyana that is being promised, Mr. Speaker? I can't speak for you, Mr. Speaker, but it came across to me as a fast road to dictatorship. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2026 is not a failure because Guyana lacks resources. It is a failure because of how power is exercised. When governance is arrogant, when poverty is just being managed instead of reduced, when relief is delayed but privilege is expedited, and when accountability is treated as hostility, no amount of spending can rescue a budget, Mr. Speaker. And it is on that broader failure of coordination, accountability, and institutional respect that I now turn. Mr. Speaker, good governance is not measured by speeches, by workshops, or glossy commissioning ceremonies. It is measured by institutions that work, laws that are enforced, and accountability that applies equally to all, especially those entrusted with public power. Mr. Speaker, there is a pattern that cuts across multiple sectors of our country. A persistent failure of governance, rooted not in the absence of rhetoric, Mr. Speaker, but in the absence of effective systems to prevent and address what I call corruption. Mr. Speaker, corruption is often narrowly understood as a direct misappropriation of state funds. But internationally, corruption is treated more broadly as the accumulation of wealth or benefits that cannot be reasonably explained by lawful income, arising from the abuse or misuse of entrusted authority. That misuse, Mr. Speaker, does not reveal itself only in missing money. It reveals itself in weak oversight, in poor outcomes, in compromised procurement, and the normalization of impunity. This House must confront an uncomfortable truth, Mr. Speaker. Guyana's legal and institutional framework is ill-equipped to deal with modern corruption risks, particularly those involving unexplained or disproportionate wealth. We rely heavily on an outdated Criminal Law Offences Act, Mr. Speaker, which requires the state to prove a specific criminal act beyond reasonable doubt before action can be taken. That framework does not recognize corruption as a standalone offense. It does not trigger investigation when assets are grossly disproportionate to known income. It does not compel forensic scrutiny of lifestyle and holdings. In short, Mr. Speaker, our laws punish misconduct only after it is proven, but provide little capacity to detect or deter corruption in real time. Mr. Speaker, we have reached a point where serious public concerns about the accumulation of wealth by public officials are met not with independent investigation.
Honorable Member?
Mr. Speaker, you have ruled over and over for the last parliament and this parliament that we mustn't use the word corruption. The member is using the word corruption. There's no such word in the dictionary. It is a particular bastardization of the word corruption to try to get away with saying what you're saying, which you have not disallowed. I'm therefore asking that that all be removed. It can't be one set of rules for one people and not another for the other.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister was standing on Standing Order 414. I am telling you, and Honorable Member, you provided your definition,
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
right?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
I don't know English language much, but I know the continuous use of certain words migrate into definitions.
Okay, Mr.
I don't rely on Wikipedia,
Okay.
but I just use BRB since around 1989,
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
right? And mom over shoulder when we used to use dial-up. They have now migrated. But be careful how you impute.
Understood, Mr. Speaker.
Good.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, we have reached a point where serious public concerns about the accumulation of wealth by public officials are met not with independent investigation, but with political reassurance. But explanations, even if sincerely offered, Mr. Speaker, are not a substitute for institutional review. Mr. Speaker, no one at the helm of any government should be placed in the position of assessor, validator, and final authority over the financial affairs of members of the cabinet. That is not how checks and balances work, Mr. Speaker. In a properly governed state, allegations are assessed by independent bodies, clear legal standards, and transparent processes, not resolved through personal confidence. The core problem, Mr. Speaker, here is not whether explanations exist. The problem is that there is no sufficiently empowered system to test them. The consequences of weak governance, Mr. Speaker, are not theoretical. They are tangible, expensive, and deeply damaging. A Guyana $6.6 billion 75-bed regional hospital commissioned in July 2025 and described as state-of-the-art is now within 6 months experiencing flooding due to roof failure. To date, there has been no publicly disclosed forensic engineering assessment, no procurement audit, and no clear statement of accountability. Mr. Speaker, infrastructure failure of this magnitude does not by itself establish corruption. However, the absence of investigation where public funds are clearly compromised is itself a governance failure. Globally, environments that lack strong safeguards against corruption often experience public works failures due to inflated contracts, compromised supervision, weakened standards, and post-completion impunity.
Honorable Member, you have 5 minutes to conclude, but you already had the leniency of 4 extra minutes than your original.
Thank
so
you,
you
Mr.
can
Speaker.
conclude
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
before I'll have to engage in some cover-uption of the standing orders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, the issue before this Honorable House is not whether the government speaks about accountability. The issue is whether it has built the systems necessary to prevent, to detect, and address any issues that arise. When public funds are spent, when power is exercised, when projects fail, and when serious concerns arise, who investigates, Mr. Speaker? who enforces, Mr. Speaker, and who is ultimately held accountable? At present, Mr. Speaker, those answers remain disturbingly unclear. Guyana does not suffer from a lack of laws on paper. It suffers from laws without teeth, institutions without independence, and accountability without consequences. If we are serious about governance, Mr. Speaker, particularly in a resource-rich state, then explanations must give way to investigations, assurances must give way to enforcement, and political discretion must give way to constitutional obligation. Until that happens, Mr. Speaker, we will continue to speak about governance while practicing something far less worthy of the name. Mr. Speaker, Guyana is a signatory to the United States Convention Against Corruption, I hope I can say that, and the Inter-American Convention Against Corruption. Those instruments do not merely encourage moral behavior, Mr. Speaker. They require states to establish effective systems to prevent, to detect, and to sanction corruption and abuse of office. That is what it's there for. On paper, we comply, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to give us an example. We have the Integrity Commissions Act, where declarations are filed but seldom verified. Wealth is declared but rarely interrogated. Oversight exists but without consequence. This is not an argument of presumption of guilt. It's an argument for functional accountability. The Integrity Commission collects declarations, Mr. Speaker, but lacks prosecutorial power. Investigations depend on referrals and discretion. The Latimore House principles, Mr. Speaker, which Guyana subscribes to, require that accountability mechanisms be independent of executive influence and properly resourced and capable of acting without fear or favor. But Article 17 of the Act, Mr. Speaker, violates that principle by design. It says that when the executive is empowered to review declarations, form conclusions, and publicly express satisfaction, oversight ceases to be neutral. It becomes a politicized clearance. That is what Article 17 does. Mr. Speaker, Article 17 says it empowers the President, Mr. Speaker, to access declarations of persons in public life and to cause inquiries to be made into their accuracy. That's what it does. But at the level of the executive to be in charge of this act, I think there is a clear violation of the Latimore House principles and should be looked into. Mr. Speaker, there is a further danger. Once governance depends on who occupies high office rather than on neutral systems, accountability becomes personality-driven. Today's executive may act responsibly, tomorrow's may not, and good governance is designed to survive both. Good governance, Mr. Speaker, is not only about money, it's about institutions that work. Which brings me back now to GCOM. The current impasse at GCOM, Mr. Speaker, is another manifestation of governance failure. Not because the law is absent, but because constitutional silence has been filled with power struggles rather than prudence. Mr. Speaker, on one hand, the chair has asserted the authority to no longer recognize opposition-nominated commissioners. On the other hand, commissioners rely on the strictest legal interpretation. The result is paralysis. The work of the commission is stalled. Public confidence continues to erode. What does the government intend to do about this? Mr. Speaker, as I wrap up, I will say my last few words. Mr. Speaker, we and WIN are here to represent all Guyanese, from regions 1 through 10, without exception, and without qualification. Our parliamentary team reflects the full spectrum of Guyanese society across regions, backgrounds, generations, and lived experiences. That diversity, Mr. Speaker, is not cosmetic. It informs how we approach governance, how we approach accountability, how we approach national development, and how we approach the people. We do not speak for a select group, a favored few, or a politically convenient constituency. We speak for the teacher in Mabaroma, the farmer in Berbice, the fisher in Essequibo, the nurse in Linden, and the small business owner in Georgetown. And it is precisely because we represent all Guyanese that we will continue to raise issues of governance, issues of institutional integrity, and the proper use of public resources, not as an act of division, but as an act of duty. Representation, Mr. Speaker, is not about rhetoric or ownership. It is about responsibility. And we intend to discharge that responsibility fully, fearlessly, and in the interest of the entire nation. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Opposition Chief Whip, the Honorable Member, Mr. Beatus Sarabo Ali. And now for our Honorable Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance, the Honorable Member, Ms. Gail Teixeira, the only person here since 1992 unbroken. Congratulations, Minister.
Both on? Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand before you to support this budget as a proud Guyanese woman, a very proud Guyanese woman, as a grandmother and a mother, and a member of my party, the People's Progressive Party, and successive People's Progressive Party civic governments. I am proud to see my country move from what it was in the 70s and 80s to what it is today. I am proud to have lived long enough to have seen what is happening to my country, to see the change, to see the transformation, to see the improvements in the quality of our people's lives. I don't want to say to the younger generation, you weren't there, you don't know. But you can't say ignorance is not an excuse for what happened to this country. The Honorable David Hines, he's running away. Are we gone? Because I was going to refer to him. But I still will refer to him. I would like to have said it to his face. David Hines knows what the 70s and 80s and 90s were like in this country. He knows what Buxton was like, with no water, no electricity, and latrines. He knows what the squatting areas were like, where people walked in mud up to their knees, with one latrine for 100 people, and no water. And I could go on. The poverty in this country was stark, palpable. We talk about kwashiorkor. Do we know what kwashiorkor is? We had kwashiorkor in this country. It is the worst form of malnutrition when children's belly gets swelled up and the hair get red. I can't claim that happened to me, right? But beriberi, all these things. 57% of the children of Guyana by 1985 were suffering from malnutrition and severe malnutrition. You didn't have to go into all the interior areas. Just go to Lodge, in them long yards. Go in the long yards, what some places like Alberton calls YY yards, and see children of Guyana of different ethnicity, but in Georgetown, in Lodge, was Afro-Guyanese children. Starving, no water. And I must be emotional about it. Because if you don't know where you come from, you don't know how far you reach, and you don't know where you're going. And so, Mr. Speaker, I have to make a public apology to my Speaker, Mr. Mansour Nadir, who was the Minister of Trade and Industry and Commerce about 15 years ago, if I can't remember the exact date. But he had an expo, and he put up this huge panel drawing of what Sheriff Street would look like in X year. And there was all these tall buildings and lights and a wider road, and I thought to myself, what the devil is my comrade doing? When will we reach that? We were in debt. We didn't have money. We didn't have what you call oil money. And I thought, why the devil is my minister and my colleague doing this? He's going to raise people's expectations. I confess publicly, I was cynical even then that I didn't know how long it would take us to get out of where we were. You know, I've listened, Mr. Speaker, to MPs speak here. And while some people can say they're new and they know, no excuse. I started as an MP in 1992, October, when you had some really powerful opposition MPs. Former President Hoyt, the famous Winston Murray, Derek Bernard, for example, Kenneth King, Derek Bernard, as I said, Kenneth King, Faith Harding, Deborah Backer, just to name a few, who when they debated substance. They came with facts and dollars and challenged you. They did their homework. Not come here and tell some sad story all the time. I can tell you some really sad stories of the brutality I saw as the Minister of Home Affairs during the crime wave of 2002 to 2006. What happened to our children who were murdered by the criminals in Lusignan and Bartica? And you come here now looking sanctimonious, as if, you know, nothing could, butter melt in your mouth. Your mouth could, butter could melt in your mouth. Mr. Speaker, you are elected as MPs. You come from your parties, and we know you all lose seats, right? And I go back to Mr. MP David Hines. You see, I know him as David Osborne. I don't know him as David Hines. But what I do know is that David Osborne Hines, or Osborne/Hines, has not lived in this country from the 1980s. And so I understand that he's in a, what you call a time bubble or time warp. He's still living sometime in the 70s, right? He cannot appreciate that this country has changed, it has moved, it is transforming. How could you, when you're seeing the transformation going on, not feel proud as a Guyanese? Whether you like the PPP or don't like the PPP, you vote for APNU, you vote for WIN. How could you not be proud to be Guyanese at this time? To see what is going on? How could you be such, you're not blind, you're not visually impaired. You're not visually impaired. But you are intellectually and politically and academically, jaundiced. Absolutely jaundiced. I asked my friend, Dr. Frank, to help me if I'm using that word right. You are looking at the world through jaundiced eyes. You cannot see progress because then it would be to admit that things are happening in Guyana and things are changing and people's lives are improved. You can't say that because you opportunistically get votes on this story about, leading people to suffer. The level of opportunism at the political level, my colleagues, some of you young, you better learn quickly the responsibility of a politician and the duty you have to the people to be honest and to represent them honestly, not to come up here with anecdotes about granny so-and-so and auntie so-and-so when no one can prove anything and no one says you've had the permission of those people to use their names. The level of anecdotes is quite interesting. Mr. Speaker, as again I said, I wanted Mr. Osborne Hines to be here because I want to remind him and I want to say to you, go on YouTube. You're all much more technologically advanced. Go on YouTube and look for a film called Time and Terror that was put out by the Victor Horror Group and the WPA. It gives you a visual of what Guyana was like in the 1950s. So you don't have to believe me. Go do your work. It is a beautiful replication of what we suffered in this country. Then go to YouTube again and look up the Granada television movies, the documentaries on the making of a prime minister in 1968, and Burnham does it again in 1973. Go and look at those movies, documentaries, about how the Guyanese people were robbed of their right to choose their representatives And it went on 68, 73, 1980, 1985. Tried again for 1990, but 1992 is a change. And then we come to 2020, when again they tried it to thwart the will of the people. When we look at where Guyana was in 92, you know, if I were in the PNC, which I will never be, I would have gone when they won in 2012, 2015, and said, mea culpa. We did all these terrible things for 28 years when we rigged the elections and put Guyana back from one of the third highest ranking countries in Latin America and Caribbean in 1964 to the lowest of the three countries in 1992, Haiti, Bolivia, and Guyana. What happened in those periods? When you destroy democracy, you take away the will of the people, you bring the working people down to zero. All the things we did to fight against that. Yeah, David was with us. But the problem with the WPA and people like the Honourable Member, when they joined the APNU, that was the death knell for WPA. Because they joined a coalition, and according to an Attorney General and the Commissioner of Inquiry report he read, that pointed to who was responsible for the assassination of their leader. So, and I must say to the APNU, I feel awfully sorry for you. You know, why don't you just call yourself PNC? Because that's what you are.
That's correct.
I mean, seriously, this masquerade, like you got in a mash costume, WPA, Guyana Action, what do you call it? Action Party, some Republican Party, some, what's the masquerade about? Just come clean. You're the People's National Congress. You don't have any of the WPA and stuff. You don't have any of them. Those parties are dead, dead, dead. And so, Mr. Speaker, I feel sorry for them because it's hard to see an old party go down the way it's going down. But, Mr. Speaker, you know, Mr. Speaker, this is my 34th budget. And so some people may declare, well, it's time for she to go. She's been here too long. That's okay with me. That's okay with me. Because I am proud to be part of the process of the transformation of this country. When this House, whether in the government or outside the government. Because, in all honesty, when I was 24 years old, my family said to me, what the devil are you doing going back to Guyana? There's nothing for you. And I came back by myself as a young woman. And my mother many times asked me, Gail, come back to Toronto, come back, live with us. You could be a politician in Canada. And I didn't. Because in my heart, I knew Guyana could do better. I knew we could make Guyana shine. I knew it. But it was a long, long trail. And I'm so proud of the young people that are behind me in this, on the government side. The young MPs have joined us. Because it means we have continuity. We have continuity. We're not a bunch of old people who are fossilized. And I ain't fossilized yet, so you don't worry about it. But, Mr. Speaker, this budget, I've heard people talk about, you know, nothing here for the poor people. And I see the MP, what's her name, Femi, she made a very funny comment, which I must respond to. She said, government side can't know what poverty is, as we all live in mansions, etc. And I thought, I was very bewildered by that. Because there's a member of this House who lives in a palace, and it ain't on the government side, and who purchased in the last few months, or acquired 25 vehicles since we started this year, and who has a fleet of vehicles from before. So no one in the government has a mansion, nor those a number of vehicles. And so you must know, unless maybe you haven't been, maybe you haven't been invited to visit the palace. I hope you get an invitation so you can see for yourself. Mr. Speaker, the visuals of this country, and even if your heart is hard, when you see the Demerara Harbor Bridge, when you go down the roads, when life is easier for our people. But Mr. Speaker, the issue of, a number of people have said on this floor and on the social media from the different parties, the opposition parties. T. Mohammed has said, both on the floor and out in the social media, it's sad that the government has chosen not to prioritize the people at such a critical time when 58% of Guyanese live in poverty and the cost of living has skyrocketed. APNU comes with the same line, and in fact, by the way, APNU and WIN have a lot of common themes. Although they say they're different, there is convergence of the views of APNU and AFC. Convergence, so don't think they're two separate parties. They're the same. They're just wearing different colors, that's all. One is going to be a has-been, and one thinks they're Johnny come lately. They'll both be tested by the people of this country and tested over the next 5 years. But Mr. Speaker, this 58% that's been quoted, when you got a little bit of knowledge and you don't do your homework, you can flash numbers around as if you were the most knowledgeable person. First of all, it's using a report that dates to 2022 and data on COVID time. But all of those who quoted the 58% on both sides, both opposition sides, didn't read the report properly. You just read the figure and said, got them now. It's 58%. Isn't that so? Right, Jurata? Isn't that what you did? The issue is that, Mr. Speaker, let us look at the indicators of poverty. What are used as indicators of poverty? And let's see if your argument's right. One of the indicators is access to electricity. Between 1992 and now, the majority of people either have access to solar or to electricity. And so access is about it. The issue of access to water. Mr. Speaker, in 92, Georgetown, I'm not even going outside of Georgetown, you had to fetch water up and down, you had to fetch water from a mile away, the water was dirty, and yes, there were worms in it. Today, 90% of the population of Guyana have access to clean water and potable water. Villages that never had water before, water systems that will drink from the river, including where Honourable Member Ms. Hastings comes from. Who put in the water system in Cameron? Is the PPP government in the last government. And yet she said nothing about no water in Cameron. She didn't admit that. But I know the Honourable Member does not go home very often. She's mostly in Georgetown. We love you, Gail. We love you. I know, thank you, my dear. I love you too when you behave. Mr. Speaker, the other indicators, if you'll allow me, is social capital. You know, how do you judge the accumulation of wealth, of people's ability to purchase, to use their money to purchase? So I said, access to services, health and education, water, electricity. But there's some other areas which are used. For example, in some countries, how many televisions, how many laptops, how many computers? Well, I'm going to bring two to you to Guyana. The number of vehicles and types of vehicles purchased between 2021 and 2025. Mr. Speaker, this is an indication of people having more ability to spend, to buy. So when I compare it with the 2015 and 2020 figures, there are vast difference, a major difference. But let's just experiment with this. Hear me out. The number of cars that were purchased in Guyana between 2021 and 2025, that totaled up to 80,551. 80,551 in 2021 to 2025. So when people talk about it's only your friends and your cronies and PPP people benefiting, you mean these 80,000 is all PPP people? Really? All the people driving on the road with them cars? Because you know why this happened? When the APNU was here, they stopped the cars being older than 8 years old. Isn't that right? They put more taxes on it, and so people didn't buy. So when you look at the figures of 2015 to 2020, it reflects a reaction to the taxes and ability to buy. because in the meantime, 30,000 people lost their jobs in that period. And that was before COVID. 7,000 which were sugar workers. So that's cars. Let's go to lorries. So cars is no longer in the 2025 period, 2026. Cars in my day growing up as a child was a luxury. Only the rich could have it. Right, David? Osborne? And I was listening to you. Thank you very much, David. And some honorable member. So cars were luxuries. Up to 15 years ago, cars were luxuries. Up to 10 years ago, cars were luxuries. Let me give an example, and I ask my staff to forgive me. When the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, and I give them as an example, the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs and Government Reform, there were 2 cars, my car as a minister and my secretary's car. 4 years later, with 22 staff, we have 4 people who don't have a car, of the 22. And of that 24, 2 are motorcycles. You have to appreciate what is going on in the society. You close your eyes, but you have to appreciate what is happening to our people. Our people are getting opportunities. The taxes are relieved. We're not putting taxes on. We're giving people space. Not like it was when the PNC had the state control the economy. Not when we went through all these period of 92 right up to 2011 to deal with debt and not having enough money, and this was long before oil came in. Mr. Speaker, lorries. Imagine, what do lorries represent? We have between 21 and 2025, 16,748. More business, more activities, more movement of materials, more, whether it's farm products or sand or materials or whatever. That's reflection. In the period of 2015 to 2020, it was approximately 4,000. So we have 16,000 lorries being bought in this period and licensed. Pickups. Pickups are used in construction and a whole range of things. Again, the period 2021 to 2025, 8,101. Excavators, again, an indication of activity, economic activity, drainage, roads, airstrips, buildings. This was 2021, 2025, 3,280. Again, indication of economic activities. Tractors, indicator of agricultural activities, 2,666 in the same period. Tractors, 2,388 in the same period. These are indicators that are used in terms of social capital to look at the level of poverty in a country. Do people have the power, the ability to purchase, to get loans, to do these things? The example of the vehicles is an example. Yes, I see Mr. Wines talking about traffic and strain and stress. He lived in the United States for the last 40-odd years. He must know what strain and stress is, particularly for a black man in the United States. He must know that. Mr. Speaker, let me go to the next area of what you call indicators. And this is the issue of the internet. Again, and cell phones. These are another indicator. If you look at the same report, I'll quote in a 58%. They don't have figures on Guyana. They admitted in the report that the reports for Venezuela and Guyana, they went back to old data. But still, you come out and parade 58%. I want to remind you, in 92, the World Bank report did a report on Guyana's poverty. We were 61% of our people lived below the poverty line. And in those days, it was $1 US a day. So be careful, be careful. When you get to be so opportunistic, anything that makes Guyana look bad, you jump on. It'll come back and haunt you. Mobile subscribers. Between 2015 and 2020, there were 652,338 subscribers. This was 98,000, total difference between 2015 and 2020 was 98,819 more cell phone users. Between 2021 and 2025, the number of cell phone subscribers went up to 12,305, a difference in 2021 to 2025 of 313,498 subscribers in between 2021 and 2025. Where are people finding the money from? I remember in the Parliament quite a while ago when we were talking about some of the changes. An MP from the opposition side, of course, APNO and PNC in that day, said it's drug money. When we were advocating the housing program, we were told all them people get them house lot is drug people. What a level of disrespect that ordinary Guyanese and Guyanese cannot respectfully and honestly get a house at and build. I want to remind the opposition, I deal with you as a combined opposition, because as far as I'm concerned, there's no difference in your views, really. The issue is that I've heard comments said that, oh, we didn't have money, we didn't have oil money when they were in government with 2015 to 2020. I want to remind them, when they won the government in 2015 to 2020, but they didn't win it up to after December 2018, of course, because of the no confidence motion. But they took, the government that was left in their hands had $783 million in foreign currency reserves to cover the 3 months and more of Guyana's foreign currency reserves. And $13 billion in the gold reserves. In 2020, when they were out and you check the books, that $783 million went down to $300 million. Where the money gone? Where it gone? And then you had the gold account. Our gold reserves, $13 billion. Went from $13 billion to $2 billion because they sold the gold in huge batches at the lowest price at the time. That is the level of financial, what you call it, intelligence? Is that what you call it, Vikram? And so the issue of saying to us, oh, we didn't have money. You had money. You had money. But what you did with it did not benefit the people of this country. You know, something about the People's Progressive Party that you don't understand, and you will only understand if you read. Don't understand if you read. Not hear all the noise, nuisance you have in your ears and the social media. Read. Go back to documents. These documents refer to are publicly available in a hide in someone's desk drawer. Go and read the Guyana reports to the international bodies. Go and read the Guyana reports and the reviews that are before the human rights body and the anti-corruption bodies. Read, and then come back with your arguments instead of anecdotes. Anecdotes and emotionalism. If you think that's going to get you far as a politician, good luck. Mr. Speaker, we have talked, I hear people say, this is not for poor people, this is not for people centered and so on. You know, the PPP is a party that's 76 years this year. And from the beginning, when our first government in 1953, right through when we came back again in 1992, we're the longest opposition party in the world to come back and win government. And we're proud of that. We led this country responsibly. We didn't allow this country to go into civil war because it could have. Things were horrible, unbearable. And so the level of tension, some of you don't know about death squad and what happened to people with the death squads. You got to learn about your country, learn about the trials and tribulations of our country, and that is why where we are today is so important. It is so important because the traverse we went, the path we went, was so horrible. And I am so proud that the young people of this country, the children of this country, don't have to go through what we had to go through and the younger children had to go through all those years. I am happy that we in the government have brought free education, scholarships, books, internet, smart studies, cash care grants. I am proud because we have care. You can belittle the amount. I remember Valda Lawrence as former MP when we brought the cash care program for the first time, 2012, 2013. Said, oh, it's miserly. It's too miserly. But that's all the money we had. And then, bam, 2015, in government, she's a minister. Abandon it. The people of this, the children of this country were denied for 5 years billions of dollars that could have gone to their homes to help them deal with their lives and their parents' lives. Mr. Speaker, you know, my comrades here on this side have spoken very well and presented many arguments. At this time, we try to mop up, as they say, to try to pull all the threads together. But, Mr. Speaker, when we look at the indicators of poverty, I advise you, you know, there's something in the budget book. They're the indicators at the back. Have you read that? If you look at the back of the book, you have indicators. And under the indicator of gross national disposable income at current purchase price, the Guyanese have $24,023 US. This is a big difference from when it was less than $2,000 30 odd years ago. And so we have to measure where we come from and where we are, and where still we have to go. No one is saying on this side of the house, we've solved all the problems. We're not saying that. We're saying that consistently, constantly, sustainably, we're moving this country forward. In the last 5 years, this country has done a trajectory never seen before, and has never experienced this before in all its years of independence. We come to celebrate the 60th anniversary this year of independence, and it will be one that allows us as a people to have this pride of nation, that where we are today, because at no other time, unless in the last 5 years, and now, has this country gone through what it's going through. Not once. Not under the British, not when we became independent, never. And so, you go, MPs, go to your book at the back, where we have about the purchasing power, where we have about the rates of exchange, and about inflation of 2.5%, where we talk about the issue of health and education, where we talk about the number of children who have been immunized. And just to go back to indicators of poverty, Mr. Speaker, we take for granted a lot of things. Say, oh, can you imagine if people had to pay for the public health services for vaccination of the children? As in many countries, they have to if they have insurance, and if they don't have insurance, they do without it. Mr. Hines knows that well. He's from that country. He knows. 40 million people in that country have no access to health services. But Guyanese receive vaccines, not only children, as it used to be in the past, but adults, the papillomavirus, the flu virus, and all these things, HIV, AIDS, multi-drug treatment, chemotherapy drug treatment, free. And therefore, when you talk about ability of people and what is the level of poverty, the IMF and World Bank in 1994-95 said to Guyana, you want loans for health and education? They said, well, if you want loans, you got to have cost recovery in health and education. And the government of Chad, led by Chedi Jagan, said, absolutely not. We will not. And we have not, up to this year, decades later, we have not introduced cost recovery in the public health system, nor in the educational system. The housing system, when we started in 1994 to look at houses and how would we have a housing program, no houses had been built for over 10 years in Guyana. And we came up with this scheme. Chedi went and did his thing with the IMF and World Bank. And they said, no. We can't give you loans unless you sell those house lots at market price. And we said, no, we can't do that. And up to today, from 1996 to now, our house lot program is subsidized by the government. Nobody pays the market price for it.
That's right. Tell them, Gil. That's right.
When you take the package of services, you can't just look at, oh, it's 5,000 more for this, and 5,000 is now can't feed nobody. That is such narrow intellectual assessments that, you know, it's a level of bankruptcy. Seriously, mental bankruptcy. Because you have to look at the totality. A child is born in a public hospital, free. In the United States, how much to pay for a child to be born in a hospital? About 20,000 US, if you got insurance. Our children are born free. They get their vaccines free. They get their school things free. We have the Household program, which allows people to have a future. And to get the issue of, let's go to housing. Let me just show you some stats on housing. Because if you had to look at some of our reports internationally, you would have found these statistics, and they're available online. But let's go to that. Online or underline? Mr. Speaker, 85% of the Ministry of Housing home improvement subsidy went to women. 85%. 65% of the core homes have been allocated to women. 46% of house lots were allocated to women alone. Let's take that data. Let's take that data alone. When a woman who's a single parent, whether the granny, the biological mother, or some cousin taking care of the children, when that woman has a house lot and she's able to build a house, this is one of the most powerful things to her. Yep. She has collateral for the first time. Ownership. She has dignity. She has the ability to take that and to build on it. I remember years ago when we started the program, and there was a guard, a female guard, and she got her house lot, and she was so excited she brought me her receipt to show me she paid up, and she showed me the transport. And she said, "Minister, the thing in me name, no man can put me out of my house now. I can put he out. He misbehave, he want to beat me outside, because I own the property now." It wasn't just about it. The issue of owning your own home is one of the most enlivening, the most dignified, and most powerful emotions for people. And for poor people, this opens opportunities you cannot believe. And that is why the Development Bank, the concessional funds to do with house lots and building houses, is so important to bring people out of poverty. We're not saying there's no poverty in Guyana, but we're saying your 58% is opportunist and totally incorrect. But when people can live in a clean environment, not in squatted areas, not in Y yards, not in bad conditions, the level, the culture that it develops of thrift, of this is yours, so you take care of it, so you don't want garbage thrown around it, there are social consequences. When a woman owns a house lot, her level of empowerment is enormous. And so this issue of domestic violence and sexual violence, you will see the social changes that will take place when this issue of reduction of poverty, reduction of people being vulnerable, that many women have had to be with men who abuse them and beat them. And we know about it in this house too, don't we? That they have the power to be free for the first time and to set their lives back on a course that is developmental. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister, I guess because you and I are in the same age range, I got caught up with reminiscing. But you're way over that time. I wouldn't tell you how much time you have left.
Okay, just give me my last comments, my last wrap up. Oh, did they? Mr. Speaker.
Take an hour of my time, Comrade Gale. Take an hour of my time. Yes, she is.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, she has. Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
Take an hour of my time. Take an hour of my time.
Mr.
Minister, let me just remind some of the younger MPs that you were the Commonwealth recipient for your outstanding parliamentary service.
That's right. The CPA.
And he helped collect your award. Yes.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I encourage the MPs to look at the National Population and Housing Census, you'll get an idea of also the challenges that the population has grown. You now have reached the million mark, and therefore, when you see increases in education, health, and housing and all, it has to reflect and take care of that increase in population, because we've been working on using the old census figures for a long time. And so this closing the gap between what are statistically proven documents and also what we serve the people with. And so this, with a larger population, there's greater stress on your budget, on what you do and how you relate to people. And so I encourage you to look at that. It has the regional breakdown. It has also the household breakdown. So although we have larger population, we have smaller households, which means more and more people need houses. Because when it was 10 people in a house, 8 people in a house, now it's more nuclearized, I call it a nuclear family, that you now have averages. But you still have, in the population census, the fact that the indigenous population of Guyana is the fastest growing ethnic group in the whole country. And we have to take that into consideration in terms of services that are offered and expansion of services and diversification. That population has grown from 5% in 1992 to what is probably 12% now. So I encourage you to read, study. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, is, look, I've heard the comments about pensioners. And the issue of it's measly and stuff like that. Mr. Speaker, I've done some calculation. I'm not a great mathematician, but I think I'm better than a few in this House. So if we calculate the annual old age pension per person, that's of that age group, plus we add the $100,000 and water and electricity subsidy. For example, for pensioners, their pension stipend is equivalent to $2,833 US per annum. The 100,000 is approximately 462 US dollars. Therefore, over $3,000, 3,000 odd to 200 odd, go in terms of pensioners receiving on an annual basis. If you add on water and electricity subsidy, and that is based on the fact of whether the person, the pensioner, has their name on the bill for electricity or water. That's how it's done. And so when we look at that versus other countries, this is a non-contributing scheme, eligible to all Guyanese, including those who lived in Guyana and live abroad, who come home to collect their money, because things rough in some of them countries now too. And so we mustn't belittle, because the same pensioners, just like the children, they will get health care, they will get their health care free, they can get their medicine free, including dialysis if those who are serious and need dialysis, those who have cardiac issues, those who have cancer. This is the things, and including, so we have to calculate. And in the budget, there's talk about homes and elderly care, that at-home care for the elderly. This is important. Elderly don't want to necessarily go into a home, assisted home. They want to be in their own house or with their family. And so that whole program of training people to care for the elderly at home is a very important intervention. And all that's calculated. So that, Mr. Speaker, when I hear that, I get really angry when I hear about this, there's nothing there, it's 58%. I get upset because it's not real, it's not true. I'm not saying there's no poverty. There is. There are gaps we have to close. We have regularized squatting areas. We have given people new places to go. But some people create squatting areas so they know some of them plan. Some I know were encouraged politically to create squatting areas so the government come under pressure and then they can give you the house lot. They're going to put us on the faster track for the applications.